All right. Welcome to another episode of This Week in the CBL. Ram is rebooting his computer and will join us shortly. We've got Jim coming on about 9:15, and I believe JC is going to join us here in a few as well, if he can get away from some family that he's got in town. I believe is what he's got going on. But I wanted to just hop on here, and we haven't. It's been a while since we had a show, so I wanted to get it started anyway. I hope everybody's enjoying the season. Just to let you all know, our trade deadline is July the 5th. That is a Sunday. Our trade deadline is always on a Sunday, of course. And the reason for that is that there is 1 week left in this regular season after that July 5th date. So if you guys are out of the running and you are holding on to some seniors, you might start considering moving those so that you can get maximum value, because those seniors are declining in value every day that we move along in the season. But I also want to make note that last year, as a reminder, 4 of our conferences saw a 7 or an 8 seed make the championship game of their conference tournament. As we saw last year, 8 teams, the top 8 teams, will make the conference tournament again this year, and we re-incentivized our payout structure so that way more payouts go to the conference tournaments than the national tournament. That way, we were trying to incentivize teams to take the regular season and take the conference standings more into account. And we have a lot of teams that are in contention to make their conference tournament as we are entering here the late stages of the regular season. For instance, let me pull up a couple of leagues here and just kind of talk through. I'm going to share my screen, and I will start with the ACC. You guys will see here that we have, if you look at the standings right now, the 8th place team is Florida State. Antonio, big shout out to you. You are sitting there at 14-10. But there are several teams here that could make a run and catch him to make it into that conference tournament. For instance, it would not be unheard of for Campbell, who's been retooling in recent weeks, to make a run here and catch up. As you know, you play 2 games a week. You still got a few weeks to go. So Campbell is not out of the running here. It'd be tough for Boston College, especially since they just traded away their ace this week. But like I said, you got to start paying attention to these tabs at the top here when you look at the standings. I know a lot of times people just look at the default, which is the combined. And when you see, like I mentioned, Campbell here is in position to where they could potentially make the ACC tournament, sitting there, even though they're at 10-14. Well, if you look down here, where are you going to find Campbell? Like if you scroll all the way down, if Campbell looks just at the default screen, they're in 78th place in the overall league. Well, that doesn't really show them a good evaluation of where they stand in their conference. You got to click your conference tab and start looking to see where your team is in the conference. And as I mentioned before, like Campbell's sitting here 10-14. They're only 2 games behind really Florida State, because you play 2 games each week. Looks like Ram is joining us. Ram, how's it going, buddy? Can you hear me?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I'm
Yeah,
clear.
my internet's been getting a little trouble, so I got a little delay, but I think I can be here.
Well, hopefully it works all right. I'm just kind of talking through like some of this conference stuff, and reiterating the fact that we restructured some of the payouts to incentivize conference tournaments. So I'd like to see more teams trying to make a push to get into their conference tournament, especially seeing as how last year we had 4 of our conferences with a 7 or 8 seed in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this openly on my end. Like, if we'll get to the Big East, I'm sure, but just speaking for myself, I'm fighting for an 8 seed, and I'm not letting go of that. I want to stick that out, because all you got to do is go ahead and make your way into the tournament somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And looking here at the Big East standings, you got your UConn Huskies sitting there in the 8th position at 15-9. But it wouldn't be unheard of for one of these other teams, like even Rhode Island sitting here at 12-12, St. John's 12-12. I mean, the Big East has a lot of competition for that 8 spot to get into the conference tournament.
Yeah, and these are guys that also pay attention to their team for sure. Rhode Island's coming off one of the only undefeated seasons last year, 30-0, and he's more than happy to trade himself into contention.
Yeah, absolutely. Urban Slapshot joining us here. Let's talk about the big trade. We will get to that. We got some trades to talk about, and we will get to those here in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of go through the conference standings real quick, just because I know like there's some people starting to think about where they are and where they stand in the league. And like for instance, I mentioned Rhode Island here, 12-12. I mean, if they clicked on the standings tab and it takes them to the combined, I mean, where would you find Rhode Island and St. John's? Let's see, because they have a legitimate chance to make the Big East tournament. But 12 and 12, if they just looked at that default tab, you'd see St. John's down here at 59th, Rhode Island at 66. Well, those teams still have an opportunity to win some money in the league. Just moving along real quick to the American to kind of drive home the point a little bit more and see what teams are in contention for the conference tournament in the American. At the 8th position right now, it has Rice with winning the tiebreaker over Marshall, sitting there at 12-12. Both of those teams are. But then you look a little further down. Even Temple at 9-15 could actually make that if they were to make a run over these final few weeks. So you've got Temple, Syracuse, Marshall, Rice, even Coastal Carolina right there, kind of on the edge of which teams. Two of those teams will get in. But you look at that conference race, and I mean, heck, when you look at Syracuse, they've scored 19,000 points, and they're sitting there in the 10th spot. So it's not inconceivable that they could jump up and take that 8th spot away from Rice and Marshall. Really interesting race to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks here. And we will start breaking down as we get into next week. We'll start breaking down these races and see who's playing who, and see how that's going to go in the last 2 weeks after we get into after we get through this week. Moving right along to the big. Let's see who's in the 8th spot there. It looks like we may have lost Ram. Oh, we got JC. JC, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm all right.
I saw you just talking about my American.
Yeah, I was just I'll click back over there just because I just kind of been going through the standings here just to talk a little bit about who's in kind of contention to win that 8th spot in these conference tournaments. As you may know, we kind of restructured the payouts this year in the league to reemphasize the conference races. So I know like when somebody clicks the standings tab, it takes them to that combined page, which I think that kind of sucks. I wish it would go to the division or conference that they're in, because then you have a much greater chance at winning money than you may have otherwise realized. I mean, in your American conference, you got Rice and Marshall sitting here fighting for that 8th spot, but you also have Syracuse and Temple just outside that could potentially make a run and get in.
Syracuse seems like they've been a little unlucky. Syracuse was I have 2 losses this year. Neither of them are to league average, but one of them was to Georgia Southern, who had a really good week, and he's one of the top teams in the American. And then Syracuse had like a killer week against me one week, and that's a pretty good team. I mean, based on the amount of points they have, they've been a little unlucky, to be honest.
Yeah, they've scored more points than 3 teams ahead of them. So in the standings. So definitely some unlucky business going on there. Just moving over here, checking out the Big Ten, whatever you want to call that conference. Who knows what they're actually calling themselves these days with college realignment and everything. You've got Iowa at 13-11 here in the 8th spot of the Big. But realistically, you have Nebraska, Indiana, and Northwestern all right there with a potential chance to jump in there and get into that conference tournament.
Yeah, doesn't look like any of those teams are on like big runs. I'm like looking to see in like the streak to see if anybody's like making a run at it consistently. Yeah. It doesn't really seem like any of those teams, but Nebraska again, like I mean, both like 19,500 points is not nothing, but it does seem like those top 8 teams have kind of separated themselves, and more so in terms of points than in record. And the top 7 seem pretty secured there. So I mean, it seems like it's going to be. Like I feel like based on these numbers, Iowa is definitely the favorite to get that.
Yeah, they're kind of more in the driver's seat than I think some of the other conferences we've looked at. And then the Pac-12, Pac-16, whatever you want to call this. You got Washington. He's been quiet this year. Like we used to hear a lot from our Washington owner. but we have not heard much from him in recent weeks in the Discord. So Washington, if you're watching the show, we miss hearing from you, and you're right there in the 8th position, right above Washington State. Which, if you remember last year, Washington State was an 8 seed in their conference tournament and made a run all the way to the conference title game. And you've got a bunch of teams, man, all the way down to Arizona could make a run at making that conference tournament.
Washington State's got some solid pitching. I'm looking at their roster right now. Their pitching is pretty solid. It's just not incredibly deep, but they have like a lot of Garrett Cole, Parker Messick, Paul Skeens, Brian Wu, Brandon Woodruff, like several really good starters. It's a team that, like, if I was the owner of this team right now, I'd be trying to get one more starting pitcher because he's like a piece away from being a team that looks really interesting to me.
Yeah, and he made a late season surge last year too, where his team kind of snuck into that Pac-12 tournament, if I remember correctly, and then they made it all the way to the conference title game, which was quite a run. And this is a competitive division, so it'll be interesting to watch that play out. I need to look and see who plays who for the show next week. That way, we can kind of preview these last couple of matchups and actually break down who has the best chances of winning these conference races. Jumping in here again to the SEC. We know Vanderbilt's kind of come out of nowhere this season. He's made a lot of trades after not making any in 2025. But he has made a lot of trades this year and has really got that team rolling up there at 23-1 atop the SEC. Down here in 8th, wow, this is the first conference I think that we've seen where the 8th position has a losing record with Texas A&M at 11-13. But really, that overall record doesn't mean anything once you get to the conference tournament.
Right. And the interesting thing about this conference that I'm noticing, I mean, Vanderbilt's clearly the top dog, but all it takes is one bad week, and like this looks like an extremely wide open conference. Now, the problem is these 8, 9, like Texas A&M, South Carolina, Oklahoma, these teams, I mean, not Oklahoma as much, but Ole Miss, Texas A&M, South Carolina, they just haven't scored as much as you'd like to see for a team that's going to like really push to make an upset. I mean, South Carolina looks like they've beat league average and their opponents the last 2 weeks, though. So, I mean, I'd be interested to I'm pulling up that roster real quickly to see what their team is looking like. I mean,
and
honestly,
it was a replacement that came in.
Yeah, this is an interesting. I mean, Max Fried will be back off of IR at some point. Is Jackson Jobe going to be back this year? Do we know that? Like, he's got a couple arms. Cade Povich as well. He's got some arms that look like they could come back and add to this team this year. And if that happens, because it looks like he's on a little bit of a hot streak, maybe he's the surprise team. But I worry about the lower teams in this. Obviously the top isn't quite as dominant in this conference, but at the same time, it's like, are these lower teams really going to have enough to challenge them still?
Yeah, and it's surprising to me how few teams seem to be in contention for the conference tournament in this division. It's like, I mean, I don't see Alabama on down any of those teams. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible at this point for them to come back. Ram, welcome back. You doing okay? You get your internet figured out?
I think we're good. I'm not going to jinx anything right now, but I think we're okay. So I'll, if I disappear, don't be alarmed. I'll come back. But it's looking stable on my end now, too, and I can hear you without any kind of stutter. So I think might be
Knicks
good.
Parade might have damaged your internet connection and everything. So
man, I got photos and stories and all that. Man, they are. It's a great thing the BDS didn't have a live the night the Knicks won the title, because I might have said so much fucking crazy shit that we wouldn't have a channel the next day, and I would have meant every single word of it. I was a very, very excited person waiting an entire lifetime to kind of watch that and see New York in that kind of a fever dream.
Well, I'm jealous, man.
I'm
happy for you at the same time.
I'm still kind of riding the high, because the thing is New York, of course, is always kind of split down the middle. You got the Yankees and the Mets, you got the hockey split, you got the football split, and luckily the Nets aren't a real team, so the Knicks are kind of like the great unifier in New York. So for the first time, I talk about a lot, I don't have the college sports experience that's necessary for this league, right? But for the first time, New York City kind of feels like a college town, because going through the weeks up to the playoffs and even up till now, you will see just Knicks gear on the most random people, man. You walk into a random shop to get a sandwich, there's a flag in the corner that says "Go Knicks, go!" and like it's fun. It feels like the college towns I visited, and I like it. It's a good tie into this league because I still don't know shit about college teams, so we're good. I'm kind of understanding why people get this and they like this. I'm talking to people about colleges, and I'm like, yeah, I know things about Villanova now. They have draft on tonight. You know, I know about schools. It's crazy. This is what the CBL has done to me. And I can identify some of these schools in the wild. Like somebody the other day at work was like, "Oh yeah, like go Gators." I'm like, "Oh UF, I know this. I actually know this."
There you go.
Yeah, this is cool, you know. And someone showed me like the Knicks and 5 thing Villanova. I was like, no, I like UConn. I actually can't wear that, but that's cool. Like I'm learning rivalries, I'm learning schools. So this is good. This is the real added benefit of the CBL, besides the entertainment factor, is the fact that I can now have conversations with people, understand rivalries. Somebody said they're an SEC girl the other day, mentioned Ole Miss, and I'm like, oh, I can enter this conversation. This is so much fun. So. You know, I can't go this far though. I know you got the WCC up here. I've never even been this far west for some of these teams. I know there's like California, Cal State, Cal something. There's things that are being pulled out of my Cal ass. So I don't know what the hell is going. I know Clemson though. I does Clemson belong in the WCC? I feel like they don't because I've seen
Clemson in the ACC real.
That would be an ACC
life,
team. Yeah.
But this guy,
yeah, because. I got a Clemson Tigers fan like I used to work with, and like his whole like personality was like Clemson, and so it's weird to me. I'm looking at West Coast and Clemson is. I think that's why they don't have a win. Honestly, like God is looking at them and is like, no, you don't belong here. You're not going to get a win in this conference because why would you be in the WCC? I think that's what's happening. I'm looking at the scoreboard here, and I'm like, I think that's right. I mean. It's not they have 0
We'll have to realign them to the ACC next year or something.
Can we relegate them? Like I feel like that's not the right thing to. It just isn't. You know, I mean, it's got to be a reason why they're 0-24, right? And I feel like it's got to be because they're in the wrong conference. But what did I miss? What were we talking about before I got back?
We're just talking about the different conferences and you know looking at who could potentially make that 8th spot in these conference tournaments. We've gone through all of them except for this West Coast Conference. Right now, you've got, and this is the second conference that has their 8th place team right now with a losing record, the SEC being the other. Cal State Bakersfield at 10-14, but there's a lot of teams here that could potentially leapfrog them. I'd say all the way down to Colorado School of Mines is right there, and you know, having a mathematical chance to overtake.
We just want that schedules. Because I know you don't really respect them as a real school, so I kind of want them to do it. Like, so then you have to sit there and be like, and in the conference tournament, the Colorado School of Mines or Diggers, like it's gonna hurt you. So I kind of want them to make it in there because they're not like real, you know.
Apparently,
well, I got to give Joe a shout out in the Discord. He, the owner of Colorado School of Mines or Diggers, he's the one that made the BDS logos. So shout out to Joe. If you guys need anything, reach out to Joe. He'll hook you up with some graphics.
There you go.
Now I will say, like San Francisco's, you know, I gotta give a shout out to him and his family. You know, he had definitely an unfortunate situation, and that owner actually passed away last month. So it's kind of on autopilot right now. That team is. So definitely thinking about his family, and his brother is in the league, and several of his close friends. So we were thinking about his family and friends in this time. Sorry to see that happen, and that's the first time in any of my leagues where we've had something like that happen. I don't know if you guys have had anything like that happen in leagues that you're in, but that's the first time I've ever seen that happen.
That is terrible. I did not know that. Now, I mean, I don't think I've personally had firsthand experience with something like that. I've heard about it happening, but obviously, I mean, first and foremost, just prayers to his family. Obviously, like that's awful. That's terrible to hear, honestly.
It would be kind of neat if they were to sneak into the playoff.
I feel bad for them because like I've also never had that happen. Like it almost feels like just some kind of weird like TV scenario where it's like, oh hey, like but it's real life. Like I feel bad for, and again, like you said, his brother's in the league. You know, I know they're not necessarily like they weren't like super talkative people, but they do pay attention to things. So echoing what the guys are saying there, like we send our best to you all and your family, man. I can imagine that's tough. It's a rough one. Just the idea of like, wow, a fantasy owner passed away in the middle of the season. I mean, I think he was sick for a while too, if I remember correctly. They were talking about the fact that because I know he'd reached out to admins and commissioners and said that he was sick for a bit. So I can only hope that, he passed in peace, if anything. And whatever we can do for y'all as a team. I know there was a comment there, maybe do a GoFundMe. I mean, you guys, in terms of the brother and your friends and stuff like that, let us know if there's anything that you have going. If you have a GoFundMe going, if you have anything going towards us, we'll happily talk about it. Whatever we can do to boost it and have your back, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and I know the Buttermaker was kind of like a fun joke for a while, but maybe seriously, maybe something. Maybe you think renaming that or something. I don't know. Still too early and fresh, but definitely have to think of a way to remember him in the league moving forward. Chuck says that he had an owner pass in the league, and an owner that took his team passed away. He retired the team name. Okay, so that's another way you can kind of honor somebody. But if anybody has any ideas on things that we could do as a league just to kind of pay homage, then let us know. And then we've got the Vanderbilt owner coming on stage here. Wearing his gear. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, not much. That's really a tough way to come in. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's very unfortunate. I've never experienced that either. So, yeah, if there's definitely a GoFundMe or something like that, just please let the league know. I'm sure there's plenty of us here that will help out and donate to that. So, yeah, but trying to pivot here and maybe end up on a positive note. It's another good week of baseball for everybody, hopefully. Trade deadline's coming out. I mean, it's coming up soon. I think that's probably the talk of the league right now, is everybody's trying to get their playoff roster set, or teams trying to trade off players to get their future roster set. It's been kind of the talk last couple of weeks, and July 5th, it's coming sooner than later. So you get those trades in.
I'll pivot for you, because we got a comment here that says Evil Chris. We have way too many fucking Chris's in this league. Because you're not even the evil, you're not the original iteration of Evil Chris. You're not the evil Chris that. I was say, Chuck, that's not Evil Chris. Evil Chris is tanking.
Evil Chris
is somewhere. He's probably gonna watch this at 12 in the morning on.
Has he won a game at all?
No, Evil Chris. No, he is not. So,
and he's not going.
I'll be quite honest with you.
He's not appeared on this since the first week.
Out there anywhere.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
I'm
going to show you
something.
Right,
that's about
there
it.
you go. Your name is on there. Yeah, it's also. I think it's in
Discord or stuff. Yeah, but
but there's a Forza Napoli, who unsurprisingly is Peter, is saying, "How dare you stand where he stood?" But we have way too many fucking Chris's in the league already. I think we're at 4 Chris's now minimum. So we're gonna run out of nicknames.
It's a common name. I've been known as Chris C a lot in elementary school. If you're a Chris,
what's really funny? Evil Chris's last name is also C.
Oh my god!
So we can't even. Yeah, I don't think we don't have an option here. We call you Chris C. He's also Chris C.
I go by my last name quite a bit in my real life. A lot of people.
Well, at least he kept his team name in the South Florida rivalry, unlike some of these guys in here.
Sorry, I graduated from North Texas. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, it's getting changed next year.
It's
already been decided. I'm Morehead State.
I changed mine last year. I was Florida Atlantic, and now
Vanderbilt's changing to Morehead State. All right, I can live with that. I'm all right with that.
That's locked in. It's the only way Morehead's ever went to the SEC.
There's too many Jalen's in the league. Yeah, there's a meme. I don't know if you guys have seen it about there's too many Jalen's in the league. It's an NBA meme. So I need to do a version. Yeah, I got to do the and that wasn't even a real name before Jalen Rose. So shout out to Jalen Rose's mom for creating a name.
She's a pioneer.
And somehow inspiring the current 2026 NBA Finals MVP. But yeah, we got too many Chris's in the league. Do we even have Ashley is such a common name? We don't have another Ash in the league, do we?
Well, it's kind of.
I don't think so.
I'm not gonna go. I didn't pick it. Anyway, moving along. I know, we were talking about the, the standings and whatnot. And as part of the rules changes in the offseason, I realized I didn't update the Constitution. I just put out that statement on what the rules changes were. So you guys may have to reference that for for the couple of changes that we made in the league during the offseason. Let's see here.
Is that pinned anywhere?
I don't know.
No, we actually have had a few issues with that because I've had to have like some of the commissioners go back and dig and figure out exactly what happened. Like, I think we re-announced that the trade deadline was this Sunday. I was going to actually just make another announcement like after the show. Like, by the way, if you for some reason haven't noticed, the trade deadline is this weekend. Like coming up in what? Next week?
It's not this upcoming
Sunday?
weekend.
It's
It's
not
next
this
week.
Next Sunday, right?
Next weekend.
That's a week and a half.
Yeah.
Sunday.
So they've got to start making moves if they need to. We did this ad nauseum last year where I talked to people. I'm like, look, you had seniors last year, they were losing value, right? But this year even worse because some people got red shirts and they're just sitting there. Like you were getting zip out of that. You can't even keep the red shirt. So this has got to be like red shirt hour in the next week and a half where somebody, if you're not using that red shirt and you're not competing, I mean, you've got to go ahead and say like, hey, I'll move them for something.
They
Right?
seem to have more value than last year too, because I think everybody's trying to compete. So not everybody, but it does feel like there's not quite a
It
DBU
feels
this
like
year, and so
more
there's a
people
little
are
bit
trying to
more
compete.
like
Yes,
there's a
I
lot
agree
more
with you.
people really going for it this year.
Yeah, and also the dynamic has shifted too. Where like in the beginning we felt like we had like let's say 9 or 10 favorites. Now there's like a shift to some other teams are good, some other teams are not as good. So people are like, fuck it, I'll give it a try. And the changes to the conference tournament that Ash was alluding to have also helped because you might have seen the 7 or 8 seed last year say, screw it, DBO exists. I'm not winning my conference either. I'm going to give up. Now people are like, sure, I'll do it.
I think one other thing, can you pull that WCC back up, Ash?
Yeah, let me reshare that.
One thing I was going to mention on that before we started talking about other stuff was that this conference is extremely competitive. That's what I noticed. Like Northern Colorado has 23-1, but they haven't exactly lit the world on fire in terms of scoring. Like 1 through 6 here is within like 2,000 points of each other on the season. And then even Gonzaga in 7 has won 8 straight games and has a team with like a bunch of IR pitchers and stuff, and people are going to be coming back. Like I feel like any of those top 7 teams could legitimately not just like make a run, but have an actual chance to potentially win the conference tournament. I just think a good bit of parity in some of these conferences, and the WCC is a good example of that, where there's just not that dominant team.
Yeah, for sure. And then I kind of wondered, like, if some of these teams in the middle of their tables, like those owners may not be willing to trade future assets to improve their team, but they may be holding on to some of their, seniors and whatnot, just in case they can make them run. You know what I mean? They may be just kind of standing pat.
Right.
So then, there may be fewer teams to get seniors from because of that. So who knows? I just kind of been speculating a little bit.
And I mean, we have the draft at the end of the year and the free agency run. So that's 3 spots you can fill, plus free agency gets you a few. So some people may look at their roster and go, I have 5 seniors. I can replace that pretty easily. I don't need to move them.
I believe we're moving to 5 rounds. We're moving to 5 rounds next
5
year,
rounds
right?
next year.
Oh, well, there you go.
For the draft, yeah. So we're moving to 5 rounds. So your thought being correct, even more so, right? Because that's 5 you can replace.
Which I kind of hate, because my haul in the first Fab run, I mean, I got some real studs for prospects that I was able to trade. So, and can I go on a rant about
there was way too much talent.
Fantrax, ye of the beautiful system that told me that my player got a negative home run 5 minutes ago? Sure. Fantrax has done nothing wrong. What's going on? Tell me. What do you feel?
Obviously, we had the issues at the beginning of the season with Fantrax and whatnot. But, shit, what was I going with this? Sorry,
Why would you ask for the moment? Why would...
Something happened with Fantrax that I just got annoyed about, and now I can't remember what it was. I apologize. I've been drinking vodka.
You're like, can I rant? Yeah, sure, go for it. I am mad. Yeah, like, what are you mad about? I got no... Jesus. God help me. You could have picked anything and like recovered. We've been mad at Fantrax for months.
My wife has gotten into canning this spring and summer, and she made this concentrate with peaches and strawberries, and I mixed some tonight with Sprite and vodka.
I think that vodka's hitting hard, buddy.
And you've been drinking it.
I think that vodka's hitting hard already.
It is.
I've had it for a little while now. This is my second one of these. So
you gotta warn me.
That's a decent sized glass too.
Yeah, you gotta warn me if we're gonna drink it through the show. That is
Yeah,
It is
completely
a mason.
unfair.
It's a tall
You gotta
mason
give-
jar.
You gotta give me a warning so I could drink too, because I want to have fun. Here I am doing this show completely sober for some fucking reason.
I
You
can't
didn't tell
remember
me
what I
that.
was mad about now.
Yo, that's on you.
Whoa.
I could. God help me. I don't even.
I'll give a quick. I'll give a quick fan tracks. Just annoyance. It's just the game last week. Was it Boston?
And the Phillies, right?
Phillies that they just completely erased Friday night or Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night.
Yeah, I
That
was
was
out. I saw
Or
y'all
maybe it was Friday
panicking
night. I
about
think
it.
was Friday
They're
night,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
am I gonna get my points from this game?" And they're like, "Hey, it'd be nice to get my points from the game." And doubleheaders
I
of
hate
players
that
out
too,
first
Chuck.
game. You can't. Put
I
them-
agree. I hate that.
I know that we had our yearly fight over a suspended game a couple weeks ago because I led the charge on that a couple weeks ago.
The Robbie
a
Ray
couple-
had like 52 points.
Yeah,
and people
last
didn't
year
have him in
that
their
happened
lineup
to
and
me.
Stuff. Yep.
Right, because it was like I had a starting pitcher, and obviously he wasn't in the lineup for a day he wasn't supposed to pitch, and then they put him in to like pitch the suspended game, so I missed out on like 70 points, and I lost that week by like 50. So I was like, well, that's just fucking, that sucks. I know that happened. I think that a few people, Mr. Pink was talking about it, that this year it was Robbie Ray, as JC was talking about, that he came in, he dazzled. But the way I look at it, if I gotta be honest, could have been worse, because if he came in and he gave up -40, you would have loved that he wasn't in the, it looks worse because of the fact that they went out there and had a good game. But it's just the way Fantrax handles it. We can't necessarily do anything about it. And it just sucks, but it works out somehow. You never know. Maybe that butterfly effect gives you better seeding down the line and you win a conference tournament. That's why I stopped pitching. So I can't. Maybe it's good luck. Maybe someone needs that to happen. Has any of that rekindled your memory, Ash, as to why you were mad at Fantrax?
No, I don't remember. I totally blanked it now. Also, sometimes they list the starting pitch. Oh, I know what it was now. Sorry, I remember now. Yuri Perez. I'm really pissed off about this, actually. So, I had Yuri Perez at the beginning of the year, and a few weeks ago when he was hurt, it said that he was not going to return until like July 17th or something.
Well, that's not really Fantrax's fault. That's the Marlins saying he's going to be out for 8 weeks, and then he was only out for 4. That's the Marlins, not Fantrax.
Well, I traded him based on the fact that I was going to lose him for the rest of this season because it said like July 17th or something. And now I see he pitched today.
I didn't trade him, so I'm pleased.
I will tell you something on that note, though. What Fantrax is pulling from all these news sources for their posts, man. And sometimes I feel like they go overboard, where it's like the guy's out because he's like sick, and then we'll get like 3 paragraphs of like, yeah, over the last 2 months he's been doing this, and the team has been doing this, and platooning, and Peter's just making. But they're getting a lot comfortable with the idea of like posting like whatever random update they can. They'll throw an injury flag on something, I'll freak the fuck out, and then 5 hours later it'll be like, oh, Max Mayer's on the bereavement list. Actually, somebody died. He's not really hurt. Like, he's fine. Don't freak the fuck out. That's what happened. That's really what happened.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a scare yesterday because he put the red flag on C.J. Abrams because he set out with he had like a side stitch or something. It wasn't that serious, and he's back today being normal, but. Kind of, yeah, I hear you on that. Where
those notifications are scary, man.
And,
yeah, you'll get because I get the notifications like the one from before, like the AJ Ewing one I was making fun of in general chat. If you guys saw, they gave him a notification for 0 home runs, then 1, then back to 0 home runs, 4 innings after he homered. But I do get those injury ones, and I freak out if I'm not watching the game. Like, it was like, oh, CJ Abrams is injured, and I'm like, fuck. I look at it, it's like, oh, he's just sitting out for the game. I'm like, screw you. Mm-hmm. He's not he's just taking a day off. Play against Bubbleguts, they get a red flag. It's true. Like, I know they're trying in their own way, but sometimes it could be just
that was Joe Ryan the other day, and I freaked out because we know him and his injury history. So, in the Upside League, I'm actually have a chance to win that league this year. So, whenever I saw Joe Ryan might have been hurt, I was freaking out for a second, and I just saw he was sick, and I was like, okay. Jim, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm over here winning illegally, I feel, because K-State's not fixed their roster yet.
Yeah, I think we need to reach out to them because that was a replacement owner that came in too. So, Jim, it looks like
you tagged them too. I think you actually tried to do the gentlemanly thing and tag them and say, "Hey, your lineup is illegal." I saw that.
Yep. I did.
Trying to be.
I'm going to message them right now so I don't forget. You guys banter a bit.
Yeah, I did. I don't like winning that way. I mean,
Look at
It's
you,
like-
sportsmanship, man. That's I shouldn't be lost on the league. I can imagine some guys would have kept their asses quiet. I respect
not
the
me.
fact that you're like, please set your lineup so I can actually like fight you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Yes, like last Saturday when the Rangers made this switch and Auburn had Mackenzie Gore sitting on the bench, I was just going to let it set and see what happens. Like, just and he ended up not pitching him. Ultimately, not made a difference. The point difference, it would have made it a closer battle. I would have ultimately won, but just in that moment, I was down pretty significantly after relief pitching blow up, and I was just like, I'm just going to just, let it be. Not my pig, not my farm, man.
See, y'all are better than me. I hope they don't fix it. I'm like sitting there like, I really hope he doesn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, what I don't like though is, our draft is based on points. So like if they score 0 points for a whole week, then that's
a good point. That's a good
Right.
point. That's a little bit of a different. If it's a whole week though, I think that's right. I'm thinking more like along the lines of that Uvalde Gore swap that happened, for example. It's like, I wouldn't be mad if he loses out on those 30 points.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
I started Allegretti. Allegretti. He got me
Allegretti.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, the Italian guy. Yeah,
the Italian guy.
Yeah,
I get him and Arrighetti always
He gave my
confused.
roster the Italian job and got me negative 46.
Nice.
Yeah, no, but to the fan track stuff, one thing I will say that I have not bitched about yet this season that I'm so there's more openers than ever before, and it messes with me. Like, I'm a guy who will set like an auto lineup for the day because I'm working. I may not be able to necessarily look at it, and then it'll find out like, oh yeah, like this guy's actually starting today. Like he's just going behind an opener, so they'll remove the starting flag. So when I do the auto lineup, they won't put the starting pitcher in, and then I'll find out later that he pitched like 6 innings that day. And it drives me nuts, both on the behalf of the fact that we're all like somehow like using openers for all teams whenever the hell we want now, but also that they haven't found a way to mitigate the fact like, hey, the starting pitcher is probably still going to pitch today. They'll take away the green.
I feel like I've seen that though. Like Miles Mikolas, I feel like, when I've looked at him on free agency, just kind of hitting the schedule and seeing what's going to go out, he'll be green on a day. And then that day he comes in out of the bullpen more times.
They do, but what happens?
They try to gauge that.
Yeah, they try to, but it's also a matter of like, let's say like I had it happen with Griffin Canning, right? Like he was scheduled to start, then they announced they're going to use an opener. So by the time the day came up to set lineups, he wasn't set as green because he technically wasn't starting, and that's not wrong, right? Like he wasn't starting. I get why they took the green away, but he was going to pitch that day. And so
did he still have a green check by his name?
No, he didn't. So like
put like
they usually have a green check that's just not highlighted.
I feel like they generally somebody's scheduled to use it, like because Sean Burke was behind an opener last week for me, and they had like a news thing the day before or whatever, or the day of it, maybe even that morning, where it was like he's going to be used after whoever the reliever was that was the opener, and so I saw that and still had him in my lineup. I think sometimes if you set your lineup the day before though, and you don't check it that day, then that can definitely become more of an issue in that situation.
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times, and I can't necessarily get mad at them because I kind of get it. It's more so the idea of like, obviously they don't give a shit about fantasy baseball and real baseball, but man, does it piss me off because it's like sometimes the games start early and I can't like get to my phone at like 12 or 1 o'clock right for that early game, and I look at it later. I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. I can't actually do this.
Jim, I see you've been pretty active in the trade market recently, the last few days. What's going on over there with the William and Mary tribe?
So Jim mentioned in the private chat, by the way, his internet is also having problems. I think it may be something that's going on for a few people. So he might be having some trouble over there.
And then our Iowa owner mentioning, I think they keep the green check, but it's not highlighted like a starter.
Yeah, so
that's what I was mentioning.
Work. Yeah, it does. That's exactly what he was saying. It does come up sometimes. Like I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, I see that they try. It's just me adapting to the fact that we use openers like a motherfucker now. Like it's just common. They're like, yeah, this guy might not go like 7, so we'll just use an opener randomly. And sometimes it works. I mean, it was like Brian Bellows syndrome, where he literally couldn't pitch the first inning, but every other inning he had like a microscopic ERA, and now he's in the minors. So God knows what's going on with pitchers mentally this year. I don't know what has happened.
Yeah, it looks like Jim might be fading on us there for for good there. Looks like his internet's not working too good. Anyway, let's reveal our top. Go ahead, Chris.
One thing about the trade market here and the trade deadline. Coming up, if I was a team last year, just my second year in this. I mean, obviously everybody is, but last year I didn't make any trades. I didn't make any trades at the deadline. I lost a lot of talent, just walk right out, and for nothing. And I would just say that's a lot of seniors last year. I walked out, and good quality seniors I probably could have built some prospects for. And I'm in a good spot right now, but it took a lot of work. But I would just say for those teams that are kind of, not real sure, kind of under 500 now, you got those seniors you want to hold on to, you are going to lose those people for nothing. And, it is probably better off, even if it's a fringe prospect, lower tier, freshman contract, sophomore contract with a lesser player, they may be a key contributor next year for you. How many times, I think at this point last year, I think a player like a Sal Stewart could be flipped around for a senior prospect last year for a building team, and now he's a key contributor. I'm not saying that, just an example, just saying you never know what they're going to be a year from now. So, that senior redshirt that's scoring a lot of points for you on your team, if you're under 500, those are false points. They're not valuable for you, and those are honestly helping your trade value, and that value goes to zero in about 10 days. So you may not find the value that you're looking for, but, what you getting right now is going to be better than zero here at the end of the season. So just food for thought for some of those teams, and especially for somebody that was in that position last year and didn't make a single move. I regret that highly. And I definitely would have, looking back on it, I would have, but, just food for thought.
Chuck makes a good point. It also hurts their draft pick. You got a senior Kyle Schwarber on your bench or on your team scoring 8 points a game. You're not actually really getting a benefit from that if you're a losing team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll say this, Ram and I made a trade last week. He traded me Sonny Gray for a freshman pitcher, Brandon Young, which, those are both having comparable years. But if you're looking at it in a standard league, that may not look as good on paper, but, Rams got 3+ years now of a young 27-year-old arm that's looking pretty good right now, where I lose Sonny Gray for nothing next year. And I'm going for a title. He's still playing for it, but he's still a competitive pitcher. Perfect scenario. You can get players like that can help you next year right now as well, too. So just, keep that option open. I think teams are starting to be a little bit more open to that, but maybe a little bit slower. There's only 10 days left, and it's going to come fast.
I think you're 100% right. I mean, using our trade as an example, as I think, not to toot our horns here, but I think that that's a good way to look at it if you want to contend. I mean, you traded me a freshman Brandon Young for a redshirt Sonny Gray, right? In a nutshell, everyone would rather have Sonny Gray than Brandon Young, right? But I'm taking the gamble on the fact that if Young's got a solid floor, I get a few more years of that, and it keeps me in the running because it's not just a random prospect. Because I'm not necessarily a guy who's going to move them for just – I made clear, if I'm moving these guys, I'm not moving them for prospects. I can prospect my own guys. I can read Ash's work. I can read JT's work and all this stuff, and I can look up stuff on Google. I'll find my prospects. I don't necessarily need them. But I will take a guy who's producing in the major league level in a couple of years of that. And I think that that's a good model for a lot of teams in my position, because I'm not – these guys here on the other end, they're top contenders right now. Like, you're pushing to acquire. You're going to be offering prospects, right way to do it. For me, I don't want to stockpile more unless it's like a top prospect. I'm not moving a guy for a top prospect right now. So you got to give me something major league level. If you're in the middling ground like me, where you're like on the 7-8 seed, like kind of borderline, if you're going to make a conference tournament, you don't want to give up, look into deals like that. Like, I had a few red shirts, and I moved out as senior. I moved out a red shirt. I'm keeping the rest, but it works. Like, you're going to have a red shirt or a senior, and if you want to, you can buy seniors from people right now. There's going to be seniors available that you could pick up that are there that, and in my opinion, there's going to be teams that are looking at moving one or two. I mean, a pitcher or something. There'll be something. You can pick up an injured guy if you want. Right, there's going to be senior injured pitchers around that you might be able to snag. Being active is the big thing. You got to stay active and figure out what you're doing and pick a direction. So
yeah, and if you're one of those teams, like we were just breaking down all the conferences, if you were one of those teams that's in contention for that 7 or 8 spot in your conference tournament, look at those teams below you and see what seniors they got. Go ahead and reach out to them, see what it takes to get them, because anybody can make a run. I mean, Ram made a run all the way through the Big East championship, and the Big East was one of the best conferences in all the league last year. And Ram marched through and won the conference tournament as an 8 seed and made it into the national tournament. So I mean, you never know where you're going to end up if you just make a run for it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I forgot the rules on every like conference, right? But 2 teams are making it to the Natty too. It's not just the winner. In the Big East is a situation where if it's not the top team going in automatically by record, it is the runner-up in the finals game. So one of the conversations we had last year is that regardless of when I made it to the final against Rhode Island last year, I was making it to the Natty regardless of whether I won or not. It was just a matter if I was getting a bye or coming in as like on the corner pick as the second from the Big East. But depending on your situation, I mean, if it's a conference that is something like that, even if it's points, like as JC was saying before, like some of these leagues, in terms of some of the conferences, rather, the points are not that far apart, right? So like you got to still gun for like you got to learn your conference, figure out your second route in too, because you got to have a backup plan. Yeah, maybe you don't win your conference tournament, but you might still get a bid in. And then on top of that, we have more ad hoc bids this year than we did last year. So there's more people going to the dance overall. Like, learn the league. Not to be rude to people, but like, I can't even say read the Constitution because I know we didn't fucking update it. But like, ask questions at people in the chat and like we'll find an answer for you. We'll give you an answer because there's ways around.
Darren Dalton must have hit a home run because the Phillies took another lead, he said, in the 9th inning.
Yeah, the Phillies and the Red Sox are in like night and day situations where they both fire their guys. The Red Sox have gotten worse and the Phillies have like figured it out. And so there's no really room for whatever the Mets just have to like eradicate their entire staff, honestly, and then we'll see what happens.
How funny was that with the Norwegians doing the conga line?
The World Cup interaction, like with
dude, that has been so
everything
good.
Here has been so I mean, the World Cup started with the Knicks stuff, and then there's like the night, I think it was the Saturday night I was in the city watching that Knicks game. It was like a mix of like Knicks fans and like 50 people in like Brazil jerseys too. And they were all pissed because I think Brazil tied that game. So like I'm watching like rabid people for weeks here in New York. I'm seeing, I think it was the Scots in Boston that were like having the time of their lives. They're having fun. World Cup time is a very unique time to be alive, and people are just doing their fuck. They're like, oh, I'm in the U.S. Eating hamburgers. The English are saying they like American food now. Like this is it's
sneaking ranch onto the planes. Why don't they just buy the powder? That's what I don't get.
That's not the same.
It actually is better.
If you do the powder with buttermilk and if you make the powder, I'm not kidding, it's better.
Give me some Southern education here. What do I do if I do the powder?
Get a Hidden Valley ranch.
At our house.
Get a Hidden Valley ranch powder.
Okay.
And make it with the ingredients. I'm telling you, it is better than the stuff you buy in the bottle. It really is.
I promise before the summer's up. I'm trying that before the summer's up, and I will report back.
And it takes 2 seconds.
You're all saying it with confidence.
Because it's true. It's not even debatable, I don't think.
You do need to remember, like, the day before you're going to need it, because it needs to be in the refrigerator for a little bit, for a few hours before you use it. But it is better, because it'll thicken up a little bit overnight in the fridge. But
yeah, good. This is good. I'll make some.
I was embarrassed as an American that so many of the Scotland fans went to the Marlins game. I was like, there was probably 18 actual Marlins fans at that game. And
the Marlins have been good, though.
Yeah, but nobody goes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's actually the funny thing. The Marlins have been on a win streak, but nobody will go anyway. But they've been playing good ball, and good for them.
And they tore down the freaking Orange Bowl to put that stadium there. Like, come on.
They have the most road wins of any team in the major leagues right now. Kind of insane.
But it's just the Marlins.
They get better support on the road.
Probably because they're better on the road than they are at home. Because
they get better fan support on the road.
Exactly.
They have to pipe in fan noise in Miami. If they pipe in fake fan noise like WWE does, maybe they'll get excited and they'll be like, oh, like they got to get like some virtual robots or something out in the stands and just have them do the wave or whatever. It'll work.
What was
that's kind of a forbidden door, I don't think I would do that for a baseball game, but
I saw
something support.
I saw something online on social media a day or two ago. Maybe they were having a kids game down at Miami, and the first out of the game was like super, super loud, and people were like, "If it could only be like this all the time."
I think it was a couple of years ago. It wasn't this World Baseball Classic. It was the one prior. They had like a game down there in Miami, and you had like the international fans there, and it was alive, dude. Like it was like the 4th inning, 0-0. You throw a strike, and it's buzzing. And like it's the stadium is nice. There's a capacity for it. they don't appreciate baseball.
No, and most people
for baseball
yeah,
in Florida.
It's just weird. It's a weird dynamic because, if you remember when Dontrell was really good his first couple of years, when he would pitch, and they were playing back in the Dolphin Stadium back in those days. But when on the days that he pitched, they would like almost sell out the stadium. But for some reason, they just never been able to carry that over.
And I mean, that Marlins squad that you're referencing too, I mean, that era of talent that they saw, I mean, Josh Beckett, Dontrell, Miguel Cabrera came up there. I remember watching him as a Mets fan, like, wow, this kid could hit, and like him turning into one of the best hitters that I've ever seen. I get it. I know that like they won the titles, they sold the ring, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if it's just the poor person in me, but it's so easy to get to the stadium to get tickets. Like I would go just for fun. Like I gotta chalk it up. I
go to Reds games. I'm not a Reds fan.
Yeah, like the Mets suck right now, and it's still gonna cost me like a good chunk of change to get a solid ticket to go to Citi Field. The Marlins are good, and I could end up getting something in like the field level for like $40 or something. Like it's dirt cheap, and it's hard for me to understand that. Like I know there's a New York tax, sure, I know there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, but it is a pain in the ass to me. Whatever you're spending here to go to a game, you could go over there and watch. Like, I feel like there's enough people who like baseball as a sport who could go. It's not like they're like anti-baseball down there.
And it's really, if you think about it, that's a common theme across all the Miami sports, really. Like, if the Heat aren't really good, nobody's going to the games. The Dolphins struggle to sell out their games. Like, it's not just the Marlins. The Marlins may be the most extreme, but the Panthers and Heat, if they're not really good, those arenas are ghost towns.
Well, the Dolphins are trying to they were trying to get Tua killed for a bit, so maybe that's why people didn't go. But no, you're right. There's not exactly like a buzz there like in some other places. I know that we're seeing here a little cross sport action. Giannis will bring butts in the seats when he feels like playing. The Heat haven't necessarily had issue drawing fans, though. I gotta be honest. Like the Heat have probably been the most consistent in drawing fans for years, because even when they were necessarily not good, they were still drawing a few amount of people. And then of course the whole situation with LeBron and the last 15 to 18-ish years, because even going back, of course, Wade was good for a long time. So the Heat have been competitive and pretty fan active for 20 years that I can remember. Wade and Shaq into LeBron and then into Butler.
Yeah, but there were even playoff games that they had trouble selling.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know people that live and work in Miami, and they've told me even at the height of the LeBron era, you can go to a Tuesday, Wednesday night game and a half-empty arenas there. There's Miami is kind of like this, like a regular season, not like playoffs.
Right.
I'm still mad about that.
Miami's got that same thing as New York City, LA has, where there's so much to do, and it just separates the attention of everybody. It's not just a sports scene down there. There's so many music concerts going on. There's a top tier concert going on almost every single night down in Miami. You got South Beach right there. You got the water and everything. There's just so much more there to do than just sports. And honestly, people put sports in the back burner down there. Until it is championship season, Dodgers have that. Dodgers notoriously are known for not having anybody showing up for the first 3 innings, for any game.
Right.
Playoffs. But it's just kind of one of those things that's just a huge entertainment capital city. So much to do. We get that in Nashville too, where there's just so much going on. Where Predators tickets are dirt cheap during the week.
Predators suck.
Well, they've been decent since I've been here. But
they missed the playoffs for the last 2 years, and everybody makes playoffs. It seems like in the NHL. Yeah.
But you can get a lower arena ticket down for a Preds game for maybe $30 on a weekday. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, doesn't matter who the opponent is, because Broadway's open. Everything's over $100 down there. You cannot get lower bowl over $100 just because it's New York City tax, Broadway tax. It's a real thing. So it's just kind of an entertainment thing.
Peter got kicked off for some reason there, but we were down there for the first time in January. We hung out with another guy, Luke, and I learned apparently they call him the National Child Predators. But he's Seton Hall wherever he is, our commissioner of the Big East for what it's worth. we were walking down Broadway. I saw that area, and like it seems like there were some diehards who were like, "Yeah, I like the area," but I can imagine that attendance is not super high.
It draws well. They're really good in the weekends. Like Nashville really likes them. Like the town really taking to them. They've got to be winning though. And
Jim, we do.
Just think.
We should make sure we put the top 25 out before Jim has to, go to sleep because his internet might die on him.
Yes.
Top 25, Illinois State, Penn State, North Texas, and Oregon State rounding out the top 5. I believe Oregon State lost last week, didn't they?
Did they? I don't know.
I think they lost last week.
I know it was really close. It was Oregon State versus I forget who they were playing.
I thought he won. He was coming into the last day about to lose, but I'm pretty sure he won.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I beat Duke in the Buttermaker this past week, so I'm glad that was reflected into the standings.
Any reactions to the top 25 this week? JC, you got any thoughts on this top 25?
I moved up 2 spots. I'm happy. I mean, honestly, I think, look, at the end of the day, it's a lot of the same. And then there's a few teams that really struggled this week. I mean, Indiana State down 6 is pretty rough. Arizona State's lost to league average 2 weeks in a row. They were like number 2 for like much of the season, and now they're number 20. There are certain teams that are definitely kind of sort of struggling, but I feel like for the most part, it's a lot of the same. The hottest teams are definitely like Hawaii and Vanderbilt are 2 of the teams that have been really, I feel like, consistently rising for a while now. But the status quo remains pretty much the same, it seems like, week to week at this point.
Ram, any comments on the top 25?
Yeah, I think I'm counting 6 from Rutgers' Peter's conference over there. Right, there's 6 teams in there. We've got Illinois, Penn State, Indiana, Maryland, Minnesota, and the Wichita State Shockers. So kudos to their 6 teams showing up heavily here.
That math does check out. Yes.
Yeah, and
we hear you, Peter.
I mean, I'm glad for that much. I mean, 6 teams is always impressive to see in one iteration of the top 25, and it's not like Wichita's coming in at 25; they're a little couple up. So good on that regard. In terms of that, the pack, which I still continue to believe is one of the toughest. I mean, they've got 5 here. Again, we were talking about the aforementioned Oregon State and Hawaii, one of the hottest teams. Oregon State was on a huge bender. Hawaii is now hot again. So the way that conference plays out is going to be super interesting to me because, again, San Diego's there, Cal's there, Arizona State, and kind of bringing up the rear on the others receiving votes, the Portland Pilots too. The point is that the pack is a goddamn bloodbath, and I do not envy anybody in that conference. I'll say that much.
You know, I find it
definitely
interesting.
a wagon.
I find it interesting that when Benny stopped making like a trade a day, he actually his team started to get some momentum, and now he's top 5 in the standings.
Well, he got his team there by making a trade a day, to be fair. So
sure, there was almost nowhere else to go, right? Because he can't I think he also he might have become medicated now for all I know because he's calmed down, which is really scary. But he is a top 5 team. Good for him. JC, of course, you're also a top 5 team. We haven't heard much bragging from you either, right? I mean, do you feel this is not even a moment where I'm asking you to brag? It's realistically, these are teams that you're going to see going into the conference tournament, right? How do you feel? Do you feel like you got a leg up on any of these guys? Do you feel like I'm watching one of these teams every week because I'm God damn it, what are they doing?
Honestly, I think if you look at my roster, I have the best team in the country. That's the honest truth. I think top to bottom, I have the best team. And I'm extremely young. I only have a few seniors. I think
you would last year.
I think my team is set up to be extremely good this year and down the road as well. I feel very good about where my team is. So, and my pitching has gotten better as of late as well, which I have appreciated. Some guys are starting to play better, and it's been encouraging. I feel very good about my chances going into this. We'll see what happens.
Chris, any thoughts on the top 25?
And just some shuffling up on the top again. Like Ram said, it's kind of the usual suspects up there. I think it's going to be, any of those top 5, 6, 7 teams I wouldn't really want to run into. I think Hawaii's got a really good squad. I think they've got some top tier pitching that can really be deadly to run into.
They're 4th in total scoring now. They've been really good. Record's the only thing holding them down a little bit when it comes to top 25.
Yeah, and whenever we get into weekly formats like that, records aren't going to matter. It's
right.
whenever you that's one of the teams I wouldn't want to run into. You know, I'll roll the dice, take my chances against North Texas. That's a team I feel good against. No, you know, I went Illinois, Penn State. You know, I just come out like in the Buttermaker. Kind of jokes aside, but you know, I did beat Duke in the Buttermaker just this week. You know, that kind of gives me an extra layer of confidence because, like, I think even I texted Ash like 2 weeks ago, just looking at kind of my pitching in that moment in time, I didn't feel like I had enough to compete at the topper tier, and I feel like I've made some moves the last couple of weeks that kind of put me in the conversation now with that. I don't think I'm I'm not done with making some moves yet. I definitely would like to add a couple of things just like everybody else, but I think I put myself in a position to give myself a fighter's chance.
Yeah, for sure. And then you mentioned the Buttermaker, so let's go ahead and bring that up. Let me share my screen here. All right, we are in the Elite Eight of the Buttermaker. We got some interesting matchups here. Penn State and San Diego State both been pretty good this year. We've got, and then like, you know, you got the #1 team in the country down here, Illinois, facing West Virginia. Any thoughts on the Buttermaker and this Elite Eight that we've got right now? Peter, any thoughts that you have on it? We can't hear you, Peter.
That's because I muted my mic. There we go. That Penn State San Diego State matchup sure looks pretty good. Like you mentioned, San Diego's looked pretty good this year, and Penn State is one of the best teams in the league. So, and obviously I have extra motivation to pay attention because Big East, but I mean Big Ten. Wow, but yeah,
Hey,
I've
go Big East.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I was super locked into the Buttermaker after getting trounced in the first round. It's kind of hard to pay attention when you're not.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, but you know, there's some cool matchups.
JC, any thoughts on the Buttermaker?
South Florida having made it this far is pretty impressive, considering he didn't even know he didn't even know the Buttermaker was going on until last week.
No, that was the funniest
that
thing.
Absolutely hilarious.
I love the idea of like, hey, congrats on getting this far, and he's like, the fuck do you mean? Like he just posted the office meme of like, yeah.
Was last year with Ash. I think Ash, you told me last year. He's like, you're in the Sweet 16 of this because I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what?
How many points do you have right now, Chris? This week?
He's beating me by like 200. I've been kissed by South Florida's kiss of death this week.
God,
he's at 448 points already. South Florida.
Yeah, I'm at 261.
He's got a real chance of like advancing again here.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the Florida State run last year because Florida State was winless in the actual ACC play, and then he went on a massive run in the Buttermaker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, South Florida.
I'm not going to sit there and say he's. Definitely think I've got some of my better pitchers coming up. I've gotten off to a slow start, but he's definitely left me some work to do, and it's going to make me sweat of that. I'm more interested in that matchup this week than my SEC matchup. I'm playing against it. Florida's not even trying to win this year, so and we got
West Virginia and Oregon, pretty mid-pack teams too that have made it to the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm. West Virginia's been active here lately in trades, so it's good to see them kind of.
I think that was a fleece-free team this year.
Which one?
West Virginia. Am I wrong about that? I could be wrong about that.
I don't remember them being I don't think they were a fleece-free.
Who am I thinking of?
No, he might be right actually, because like does like Jimmy Bandit? Didn't he like take over West Virginia? Like I feel like that's correct.
Well, but he took over them in the off season.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Oh, I'm thinking of Georgia Tech. That's what I'm thinking of. Similar color schemes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, West Virginia. I mean, look again. I like that there are several underdog teams. I think that's kind of fun that there's not just one.
Yeah,
I think this also goes to show you, just looking at these teams here, when we get to this single elimination weekly playoff format, anything can happen. I mean, look at the great point. Everybody was in this tournament, and look where we're at. You know, are we at the Elite Eight now? Is this where this is?
Yeah,
Elite Eight.
I mean,
think of how many teams thought
you've got 2 top 10 teams in the Elite Eight. That's just kind of,
that's how how it worked in the Natty last year. I mean, it's not like the favorites were just. I mean, like DBU, everyone sold their house thinking DBU was going to dominate. He didn't win the Natty. It's just that simple of an answer, right? Yeah, so like anything can happen in single elimination, 100% right. And on top of that, too, I mean, last year, I guess it's because the more tangible prize last year. Last year, we talked about like a night with the commissioner, and Ash was down for it. This year, he hasn't been about it. I've heard that he hasn't actually paid out like either the beer glass or the night with the commissioner last year. That's what DBU was telling me on the low. Like, not to drop anything here, but
Oh, he hasn't paid me out either, so it's not just DBU.
It's hard to get a good picture of the glass, but I will go tomorrow.
I like that at the bottom of the glass, if you look at it, it says "Thank you for not taking the night with the commissioner" because he was kind of scared.
It doesn't say that.
It definitely does say that, and I
will go to the post office tomorrow.
I will tell the winner of the Buttermaker that they have the choice again for a night with the commissioner, depending on who it is. And I would love if it's somebody like Chris, like right in front of me, so I could be like, "Hey, man, like I just want to let you know, like you're allowed to like call in a night with Ash if you need to. Like that's part of the deal for the Buttermaker."
That might be one of the easiest ones to make happen, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he might actually have it like kind of easy in that regard. So that might be kind of a cop out for him, considering.
We're gonna do our usual date night. Ash have gone up to a Reds game.
I love it.
Guys,
he completely.
I know, like the most important topic. we will move right along off of that subject.
I hope to God Mrs. Ash was watching. I want her to be like, what does he mean? Why does he keep mentioning this? Like, and it's been like a common joke. Why are they all laughing? Like, this is the thing. Like, it's been a thing for a year, baby.
Well, maybe you know why I was scared to come to Nashville now.
It's scared to come to Nashville.
Bullshit.
Hey, listen. Are you afraid to come through on the one night with the commissioner? Why offer it? Why would you offer a night with the commissioner if you can't back it up, Ash? Why
this
would
was
you
totally you and Peter?
Whoa! I didn't win. You did not announce that I won the 2025 MLB Pick'ems thing at Nashville. So I didn't have the option for a night with the commissioner yet. That was just the
I should have brought I should have done the tabulation. Then I could have just brought it to Nashville.
Well, you didn't come to Nashville.
Were you going to bring it to Nashville? You didn't come. Yeah, that's something you didn't come. What the hell is that? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like,
you could have.
Yeah, I could have.
Yeah, let me put glass in my carry-on luggage on a plane. Great idea, Peter.
I could have brought it back for you. I bought a suitcase. For all the things I had to bring back from Nashville, all the fun times I had down there on Broadway.
It's a good place.
Anyway, everybody's favorite conversation is usually the trade talk. So we will pivot off of the night with the commissioner right into other types of trades.
I don't think they like the trade talk more than the commissioner talk. I got to be very clear. Like if I post a poll in the CBL and I'm like, hey, what would you rather like hear? Like the night with the commissioner talk or the trade talks, you'd be surprised, Ash. I got a lot of DMs about this stuff where they're like, are you going to make him follow through? And I'm like, yeah, of course I will.
If anything, I think this is a better transition into the porn league.
JC,
pull up the trades. Pull up the trades. It's okay.
And I think that like everybody's favorite topic is usually trades, and I have 3 on here, so it's not as many as normal, and we will save the best for last. The first one we will show up here is one that involved JC and Cal. I just thought this was an interesting trade between 2 teams that are kind of competing for the national tournament and whatnot. You've got Cal. This is the good Chris. I think that Cal owner is actually the good Chris.
He is, yes, considerably the good Chris. That's what we.
Vanderbilt still has to prove himself.
He's a server.
As long as I'm not evil, Chris.
That's good.
No, you're
he's
not
in the middle, Chris.
You're kind of like
in the middle, Chris.
Yeah, at the moment
Chris.
he's Chris in the middle. Yes, so that's fine.
Anyway,
Chris.
Cal receiving a senior Chris Bubich and a freshman Esteban Mejia, who is ranked number 313 prospect according to the Upside Prospect. Shout out to Lucas and his writing there. I'd like to get some Colossus stuff on here sometime. JT, you're gonna have to make that happen with Colossus and figure out how we can get that on here, some Colossus content. But then we've got North Texas. JC, you're receiving the number 110 prospect in Nate George, and a sneaky under the radar guy in AJ Russell. JC, how'd this trade come about?
Okay, so I had a bunch of guys on IR, and I was basically realizing that I've been trying to, for the last couple of weeks, clear a couple roster spots, and I've managed to kind of do it now. But I was looking at my team, and I was like looking at the guys on my active roster and going, how many of these guys am I okay with kind of replacing? And there weren't very many of them, and I had like 6 or 7 guys on IR that were going to come back pretty soon. I was like, okay, I need to clear some spots. So Bubich was one of those guys on IR. for me, and I don't know exactly what his time frame looks like. It feels a little murky still, but I was kind of just, my thought process was maybe I can get a couple prospects for him. I had a couple prospect spots. Cal is in desperate need of pitching, has been having some injuries and some underperformance with certain guys. I think he's been starting like the Miles Michaelis and guys like that of the world who have been struggling. So he was looking for another guy who, if healthy, can be a real contributor. And I'm a Ranger fan. AJ Russell's been really good for us this year. That's a name that I feel like before the year nobody really knew, but he's kind of starting to become one of those risers. I know he's not ranked by the Upside Project right now, but he will be. I can say that with confidence. He just got promoted to high A, I think, like yesterday, actually. But he's been really, really good this year. One of the more encouraging Ranger young arms for sure. And then Nate George, he hasn't been amazing, but he's a relatively interesting prospect as well. My thought was just Bubic is a guy who was almost redundant for me because I had too many guys. And I got a couple of prospects that I feel like are relatively interesting. And then Mejia, he just wanted a dart throw back, basically, in exchange for those prospects. And Mejia, he's an interesting guy because his stuff is phenomenal, but he also has walked more batters than he has innings pitched this year. He is all over the place. So I think that was an interesting one where it's just a total dark throwback, but I feel pretty good about the prospects I got. Like at least one of those two might pan out into something eventually. And I didn't really need Bubic, basically. I needed to clear the spot.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Speaking of clearing a roster spot, somebody looked at my roster last week. I won't name names, but they reached out and was like, "Oh, I see you're going to have some guys coming off the IL soon and are going to need to clear some roster spots. Would you be interested in moving Schlittler?" I'm like, I think if I was just trying to clear roster spots, I think that's like the last guy that I would move. But
you get the most creative trade offers in this league, and by that I mean I've never been more insulted by trade offers in my fucking life. But you got to respect the hustle, and by that I mean you do not have to respect the hustle. Please fucking stop doing that, people.
God,
but
who was it today? I was reading through the league chat after I got off work today, and it was like this morning. I think it was South Alabama maybe said it, or maybe it may have been you, Baby Squid, that some of the reasons they throw in these low trades and they know it is just because of the crazy shit that gets through and actually does get accepted. So it's just kind of like you want to start a conversation off with a dart throw because you don't want to give the real offer that you're willing to give up because you don't want to sit there and feel like, shit, I could have underpaid. Sorry if that wasn't you, but I know that was kind of said. You're on mute again.
You're muted again, Peter.
That wasn't me. And I do
Sorry.
understand, obviously, like you want to you want to pay the least amount that you can for any of that's what we're all trying to do. But it does make me mad when someone just throws like a garbage offer your way and then it's just like Ram said, you're like borderline insulted and then you decline it and they're like what, no counter? Like how do you counter that? Like there's no way to counter it. So it's like if you're gonna play that game, that's fine, but then don't get mad when you just don't get a response back.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it. I'm like, I look. If
I
you
feel like that
want
might
to
be
do it,
subtweeting one specific owner.
it's possible.
No,
but
that's the thing. It's not. It's not. It's several.
Yeah.
I think it's a good rule of thumb. Like I think it is too. Like like if you're going to throw a lowball offer and if you're going to throw a disrespectful offer, you can't feel disrespected if you don't get a response back. Like it just kind of thing. Like or if you're going to sit there and you're going to throw in lowball offer. There's sometimes I've done this. Is if I let the owner know ahead of time, be like, hey, I know this probably feels low. I'm trying to feel out where you are. Feel free to counter. That way
I do that too.
Give them some respect.
That's a little human, respect. I think. Right, because it's like if you acknowledge that it's an offer that is meant to start a conversation and not just a blind offer randomly. If you send a blind offer randomly, my thought is that I can tell you to go fuck yourself, and I will, right? But like if it's like, hey, I'm trying to feel out where you are. Is this person available? Is this in the ballpark of what you're looking for? I've never really been offended at somebody looking for a conversation. I tell that to everybody. Like if you're looking to actually just kind of feel it out and you're being legitimate about it, that's fine. But there's also the idea of like somebody will just offer something that's like complete horseshit. And I will, I see that's how me and Penn State became friends because he gave me like a horseshit trade offer to open the CBL last year. And I started sending out those like old clips from the 90s, like baseball games. They're like, oh, if I take that offer, they'd put me in a padded room and like those type of things to people, which is great. But I'll swing it back here to the trade that's on screen. I know Ash is going to want to talk about it too. I really like what JC pulled off here. I mean, the proverbial thought in the league is that JC never makes a move unless it benefits him, which is shown right here. And I think that Nate George is like a much I don't really believe too strongly in Bubic. I also know the injury history is kind of weird this year, where he was coming off a sell high last year. He's still kind of looking like his arm has kind of reached what it could do last year. He can be useful, not going to knock it, but I feel like a senior Bubic, if you're moving him for Nate George, I mean, that's a really solid prospect to get for a couple months of Bubic, if anything at all. Like maybe you get a few starts from him. And personally, I know that JC is biased here, but I actually agree. I would take Russell over Mejia, but they're both kind of like dart throwy. I like Russell. I have him from Baseball America was really high on him coming out of the draft.
I am biased, so I will. As a Rangers fan, I'm really
I know you're a Rangers fan, but like I do like even so. That's why I'm like, let me speak as a Mets fan here because like I have no affiliation for the Rangers. Like they took Jacob deGrom, so they can burn. But AJ Russell's a good prospect coming out of the draft, I think, and he's looked better. Like he's kind of finding his footing. I think he's a very electric arm. So at worst, I think maybe it's like equal to Mejia. I know that, by the way, we're seeing 8 of 8 owned on Sam Aldigari, and I want to remind people that Benny Montgomery was 8 of 8 owned as of 2 days ago, and he is no longer in the fucking Fantrax system because he retired. All right, so like let's pump the brakes on the 8 of 8 joke because now he's 0 of 8 owned because he just disappeared from the system. But anyway, circling back,
can I take a quick victory lap on trading him Monday morning?
You traded Benny Montgomery Monday morning.
You traded him Monday morning. Seriously? Aldigari. Okay.
Aldigari. I traded Aldigari.
I was saying, if you traded Benny Montgomery on Monday morning, I'd have you investigated for like collusion.
No,
what the fuck did you know? Like, do you know Benny Montgomery?
There's some insider training.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way because there's no way anybody was like, you know who I want on your team, man? Benny Montgomery. I really want some Benny Montgomery in my life. So, and he retired. You know, kudos to him. I hope he enjoys his life. But yeah, I swinging back here. I think this is if you can equivalate Mejia and Russell, which I think you can. They're both kind of dart throwy. I think Russell's got good upside. I know Mejia's ranked and has shown more upside. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, we'll take Mejia." Fine, but they're kind of equivalent. And I think George is a more valuable pickup over Bubic. So that's my thoughts on that. I think JC kind of not handily, but I would take his side of what he received here.
Yeah, somebody had stock in Bubic last year. I just don't think. I mean, it's worth the dice roll if you're a Cal's position because if you can get it back for a late playoff game, he could be worth it. But that's a big if at this point in time in his career. You know, the best ability is availability, and he just hasn't been able to show that consistently. So, kudos to you for being able to kind of get out of that and get a really solid return for it.
I appreciate it. Sounds like Bubic is making a rehab start soon, though. So there you go. Maybe he is coming back.
Claude Reagan's made a rehab start too.
That's true, and now his season's over. So
yeah. So let's until he steps on the mound at Kauffman Stadium or the MLBs. I'm to me negative net value.
The one thing I will say about Bubic though is in Cal's position, the prospects aren't doing a ton for him right now. And I think what he's looking at is that his pitching, he's got several guys that like he just actively does not really want to be starting. Merrill Kelly, Zach Littell, Savali. He's got a few of these guys that are like genuine, not just boom or bust. It's like mediocre or bust pitchers. These are guys who like have really bad starts pretty consistently. And I think his idea is if Bubic is back in a month and he gets him back even post-conference tournament, he's going to be in the national tournament. There's no doubt about it for a team like Cal. And for him, if he can get 3 starts from Chris Bubic in those, that could make him some substantial money. Like that could be genuinely valuable to have that. And like, is he great? No, but he's pretty good. He's like a solid pitcher, and he's much, much better than some of the guys that he's currently starting.
Yeah, that was the point that I was going to make is that if you can get him back for a couple of starts in the postseason, that might make it worth it in this type of format of a league. Mm-hmm. Do we know what's wrong with Nate George? Because this is a guy that in the offseason I was really hyped about. Have owned him in several leagues. He was kind of on that fringe top 100, it seemed like he was getting ready to emerge as kind of a big-time prospect, and now he hasn't played in almost 2 months. So do we know what's going on with him?
I have no idea.
I don't think I know any more than you. Yeah, I know people have been asking. I think they said the last that I heard in May was that he was on the IL due to an illness, and that Elias said it was going to take a while, which was really weird because I was like, I don't know what the hell that means as to like what happened, like what type of illness does he have? I mean, It reminds me of like in the NBA when like Porzingis, like there was this whole fascination of like they thought Kristaps Porzingis had like AIDS. And it's not even a joke. Like they were like, oh, he's dealing with some like serious medical thing. I don't know what's going on with Nate George. I can't speculate, but the last I heard was that he was on the IL from May 15th for an illness, and Michael Elias said it was going to be a while. So whatever he's dealing with, it could be significant, and maybe it won't. I mean, we saw weirder things. I think last year, prospect Xavier Isaac, if I remember correctly, this was last year, that he went on the IL like for half of the season. Nobody knew anything. And then we found out in the offseason he had like brain cancer, and they did surgery on his brain. And so I guess they try to keep those things close to the vest because it's sensitive and risky. So it's possible he could have some kind of.
Hopefully it's nothing like that.
Hopefully not. That
would
be
but I wouldn't know, but yeah, that's what it is with Nate George. So we don't know exactly what's going on there.
Well, guys, we are kind of running a little long tonight, so I'm going to skip to the one trade that probably everybody wants to hear about the most, and that was one that went down, I guess, overnight, and that's between the Boston College Eagles and my formatting on this graphic sucks, but it is what it is. There's a lot to squeeze in there. And Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech receiving Yohan Duran, Alec Burleson, and, just some pitcher, Livy's boyfriend. And Boston College receiving Michael McGreevy, a freshman Andrew Painter. And then, bear with me as I get through these prospects, but a freshman Charlie Condon, number 34, according to the Upside Prospect. A freshman Thomas White, number 15, according to the Upside Prospect. A freshman James Tibbs III, number 45. A freshman, Josu DePaula, number 10, a freshman, Andrew Fisher, number 65, and a freshman, Aiden Miller, number 17. Ram, I will let you lead us off. What did you think of this trade?
See, here's what I'll tell you. In terms of a prospect haul, this isn't the worst of the prospect hauls we've seen when we see trades like this.
It's actually a pretty good prospect haul.
Yeah, sometimes we see these prospect hauls and I sit there and I'm like, this is complete ass, right? I know there's questions around some of these guys. I know there's questions around Aiden Miller and his back. I know there's questions about Jose DePaula because he's a Dodgers prospect, and it's like, do you really know if you're ever going to see them? Oh, what team is he going to play for when he gets traded, right? There's worries about with Condon can hit major league pitching. Sure, there's worries about Painter, obviously. So there's questions about a lot of these guys. I think that's relevant. Here's what I don't like, and it's not necessarily the players in the trade, is what I'll talk about, is the process, right? If you're going to move a junior Paul Skeens in this league, you should put him on the block. You have at least 50 teams that might be interested in acquiring, right? Play the bidding war, leverage something, negotiate. I get it. People will say whatever the hell they want. You're in the fucking league. I expect you to care to an extent that, if you're going to move Paul Skeens, maneuver in the ability of making him available. When I show up and I see this, right? Again, it's not even just about the players involved. The process is what I am criticizing. And I'm being very clear about this. I'm not trying to insult somebody, but if you're moving a player of that caliber, put him on the block, because you're negotiating with one person when you could be negotiating with 50 to 60. And I'm not saying you have to talk to all those people. I'm just saying put them on the block, give them an idea what they're looking for. And if you don't like the offer, fucking ignore them, right? You're still going to have at least 10 people to talk to, and you're going to get the best possible offer. It's the idea behind Fleece Free. I know we can operate exactly in that way, but my thoughts are basically that. Process-wise, this is an F. Because you can't move, and he's healthy. It's not like it was Skubal when he was hurt before and we had worry. Paul Skeens is the pitching guy right now, man. Outside of Mizorowski, who else are you trying to, and maybe Schlittler, right? Who are you trying to acquire? This went down so quietly for me. The process is my issue. That's what I want to say.
I totally agree with what Ram just said. And yet I have to say, considering how terrible the process is, the return's actually pretty good. I'm surprised by how solid of a return he got. This is a trade that, look, all things considered, there is a world in which Boston College wins this trade. And it's not that absurd of a world. Because if DePaula is who we think he might be, and Thomas White is a front of the line rotation guy, and Fisher's been unbelievable
Colorado?
this year. Condon, the scary part about Condon is he's been better this year, but he's also in the PCL. So how much does that matter? He has, but he's also in the PCL. And Aiden Miller, health is going to be a concern with him more than anything else. But the one thing I will say is everybody here, with the exception of McGreevy, who's a competent player, But everything else here has the potential to be great. I mean, even Andrew Painter, as rough as he has been so far, there is, I think, still potential there for some development and for him to turn into a key guy. And all it takes is 2 of these guys hitting at a high level, and you're getting 8 years of studs just off of those 2 guys. If you get 3 or 4 of these guys turning into contributors, or even 1 superstar and 2 really good players and 1 contributor, like, there is absolutely a world here where you're giving up probably 3 years of Skeens, because obviously he's one of the best players in the league, so good chance that's a red shirt. But then 2 years of Duran, 1 year of Burleson, who's been really good this year, to be fair. But I can absolutely see a world in which Boston College winds up winning this trade. And I wouldn't be shocked if even like in 1 year we look at this trade and go, I mean, not bad.
I mean, if Skeens tears his UCL next year,
that goes
we're
without
going to be
saying.
like,
If
damn,
that happens,
Boston
yeah.
College was a blizzard.
I agree with a lot of what everybody else says as well too. Like, you know, if you're going to trade a Paul Skeens, getting 6 top 65 prospects is what you want, you know. But again, doing it in the middle of the night, kind of quietly, is, you know, does kind of hurt the league a little bit. I think just completely. I agree with everything Ram said. I don't think it needs to be expanded on. But yeah, good haul, bad execution.
Peter, any other thoughts on that?
I mean, like it. Yeah, I agree with what everyone's saying, and it is a nice prospect haul. I've seen worse. I might have maybe, if you're trading a player like Paul Skeens, you might have liked a little bit more of a established MLB guy back and maybe cut off 2 to 3 prospects. But that's just me.
Yeah,
I hear you.
The comment here, by the way, I have more risk because Skeens could tear his UCL. Please don't fucking do that to me. Don't get me mad, right? Because it's like, you know, that kind of stuff. I know you have to be joking, and on the off chance you're not. I mean, you're right. There's no
Pirates
chance that
team
Andrew
might crash.
Painter or you know
there's
Thomas White, high octane pitcher. You know, he's throwing 89 miles an hour. He could never tear his UCL. Yes, I hate those type of comments a lot because it's like, come on, like I get it. I know. Short of like maybe the Mason Millers and the Hunter Greens, like some people are a little bit more like it's one of those things that I think is kind of like I don't disagree with what you're saying, JC. Like if you're gonna take prospects, these are probably the bag you want to take, right? Like these are some good names here and there's some upside here, but inherently it's one of those things, kind of tying in what Peter said, like get a major league contributor. It's Paul Skeens. Like, what was the rush to fucking trade Paul Skeens without putting him on the market? You know, I see, you know, Urban Slapshot says, hey, it's for his point. He had offers to Skeens and they were nothing like this. Yeah, because Skeens wasn't on the fucking block.
Right? Like, I'm not
going to look. Some of these guys have different
Skeens.
personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going knocking on your door like, hey, are you trading Paul Skeens just because I'm a good-looking fucking guy? No, tell me he's on the fucking block. Like, I'm not going to go in and I know some people are real comfortable insulting each other in this league and being like, hey, can I have Paul Skeens for a freshman Michael McGreevy? No, you fucking cannot. But they'll do it, right? Because they have no shame. But a lot of people are not going to just come knocking on your door like they got with Ash and be like, hey, you're going to move guys off your roster? Why don't you move me that Cam Shitter guy? Like, he's not that good. Like, people don't fucking do that normally. So the idea of like, oh, he didn't have good offers for Skeens. Yeah, because nobody knew he was fucking available. Yeah. What are we like? Of course he didn't have offers for Skeens, right? Like, I don't have too many offers for Hunter Brown in my inbox because of the fact he's not available, and I haven't posted he's available. If I did, I'd have 20 tomorrow, right? And that's like a red wisdom. It's a red
conventional
shirt
wisdom
Brown.
says he's not on the block.
Right, because like you don't go to
regular fantasy player, you look at a junior Paul Skeens, you rationally think he's not on the block. So why would you think elsewise? Unless you're told.
I love Andrew. Andrew wants everybody to know over at Penn State, by the way, that Sam Aldegari is on the block. And maybe for a similar return that Chris got for him on Monday. But no, I mean, I'm standing by that. Like, I'm sorry, but I agree with what Chris is saying. Echo me. It is. I'm going to assume that, like, the guy that's the best player, one of the best players of the team, is not on the block unless you tell me you're selling him. Because the logic would be to let the 128-team league know that you're moving a player of that quality. And JC's not wrong in what he's saying, by the way. There is a world that he does end up winning this trade if these prospects pan out. Because these aren't like the back end 100 prospects. Like Thomas White is an elite prospect. Jose DePaul is an elite prospect. A healthy Aiden Miller could be an elite prospect, you know, and Tibbs the third, Fisher, great prospects. Andrew Painter had all the potential in the world. I think Condon could actually hit. I'm a Condon guy. So yes, there is a world where he could win this trade, right? I'm not saying necessarily that it's like a bad situation there. But for me, like, again, why not? We have a 128 team league. Why not take advantage of that? This might have been the only schemes available in the league right now. You can leverage that because people want him. So of course you weren't getting offers in your inbox about it, right? Because nobody knew it was available, and this wasn't a team that was posting and talking either.
That's
so like I am going to
just
criticize the process.
When
I'm
there
not
is
gonna
a
back down from that.
team like a Boston College that's not extremely active on the trade block, and then they post a player anything close to the caliber of Skeens, you're going to get a lot of traffic because people are interested in talking to new teams. There are a lot of teams that post, and I am part of this, but there are a lot of teams, and Vanderbilt does it as well as this year, that'll post similar trade blocks on a pretty consistent basis,
right?
And are very active in that trade block. If you have a guy that's this type of caliber of player, especially if you are a rebuilding team, this is like the perfect time to do it before the trade deadline, because there are 15, 20 teams that are going for it. That, I mean, I can promise you, I would have put in a real offer for Skeens. Vanderbilt would have been putting in a real offer for Skeens. There would have been several teams, not several, more than several. There would have been 10 legit offers. He could have gotten more than this, probably, like as much as this, as solid as I think this is. He absolutely probably could have gotten more. Skeens is the type of guy that you can milk a lot out of.
And I think when you put somebody like a Paul Skeens up on the block, you're going to get some bullshit offers. You're going to get some people trying to be cute and low volume. But you're, like you said, you get 10 to 15 legitimate offers that, you know, of those 10 offers, you can probably shave down to 5 and have real conversations. And then you turn 6 top 65 prospects into 4 top 25 prospects plus 3 active MLB freshmen that can help you immediately. Not only just or next year as well too. Just it's a good haul. It could have been better if you opened up negotiations a little bit, and I think that's what everybody's point is.
Yeah, Ash, you haven't said too much about it, so I mean, I don't know if you're echoing or if you disagree with us. I mean, I want to make sure you get your 2 cents in.
Yeah, I've kind of waffled on this trade so many times. Urban, I did post the link to the StreamYard studio. If you want to come on and kind of give your take verbally, feel free to click it and we'll put you on. Would love to get your take from you. You don't have to go on video. You can turn off the video if you don't want to be on camera. But if you click that link that I posted in the chat, you'll be able to come on and give your take verbally. Appreciate you coming in here.
It's a good trade. Like, it's a decent haul back for Skeens. I think we all have a consensus that, you know, it's a fair value. It's a fair value.
I think my opinion is I think there's a lot of really good potential on the Boston College side. My thing is, like, in this league, because you only get players for 4 years and possibly a 5th year. I think anytime you trade a player that's a junior, that's one of those top 10 guys, you're saying that, like, you don't expect to compete over the next 2 seasons either.
Right.
And I just feel like that's tough in a league like this when you only get a player for a very finite amount of time. And I think if you are trading Paul Skeens, this is kind of the haul you have to get. But if you're trading Paul Skeens, I don't know that you have to trade a Duran and a Burleson to get this. Like,
that's a good point.
I mean, Duran can get you easily 35 to 40 points a week too out of the bullpen. By the way, I've been actually wanting to trade for a Duran. So,
I think there's a chance a Duran he could probably get you 2 of these prospects. He could definitely.
I agree,
get one
especially a junior Duran too. It's not like he's a senior. I agree. Like, you definitely could get, because that's another thing that's not being discussed to the extent. And JC pointed out, Burleson's also having a good year too. Like, these are 3 starting level.
Yeah, he's 7 points a game.
He's having a very good year. It's better than good.
You got a rental outfielder.
40 points a week.
You got a stud closer who's still, like, healthy and doing his thing for another year or 2, and you got a year and a half of Skeens, who, if he stays healthy, will be a redshirt on top of that too, right? He's a redshirt caliber player that you look for. So, for me, like, I know that there's going to be some discussion. Like, I get that, you know, Urban Slapshot might be a little bit, like, insulted by it, but it's not a shot at you, dude. It's just the idea of, like, I'm going to criticize the process. I'm not backing down from that. I'll criticize it to anybody. It's nothing personal. It's just
Urban
the idea.
Slapshot's the one who got Skeens. I'd be happy with that. I mean,
right. So that's what I'm saying.
I don't think he's offended.
I don't know, because like he sees there, he was like, "Hey, let's see these offers."
I think he should put him on the block. I think he should throw him in the
I would love
throw him on the
see
block.
it happen,
I'd be interested to see that.
Because I think the point being mentioned
in the
here
Discord
too, there's a different conversation between Skeens alone and Duran and Burleson. I feel like they were almost added here as throw-ins, because we're having the discussion about, is this package good for Skeens? And yeah, it is. I can understand it for Skeens. It's not what I want, but it's good for Skeens. Fine, right?
And
but
you're
then
right, all
adding
those
in
guys
Duran
could
and
be up next
Burleson,
year.
these are guys that have value there too, and you'll pull some value out of that too. Again, so I agree with JC's point that Duran might have pulled one or two of these. Like if you saw Duran for, let's say, Condon and like McGreevy or something, or Condon and like Tibbs or something, a junior Duran with the way relievers have been getting moved and having value, not the craziest thought in this league. At least one of them, right? So like that takes away from the haul in that regard, and so. I don't know. If we get to the nitty-gritty, I have my feelings on it, man.
Yeah, I just feel like in this format, there are certain players that are immovable unless they're a senior. And I think Paul Skeens is one of those. I just don't think you can trade a player like that. No matter what your record is, you have to think that you could compete in the next 2 seasons.
That's because you haven't been super dog shit bad, Ash. That's why you think that. As someone that is super dog shit, you can totally trade it.
I think it would be. I've thought about this multiple times. I think it would be a blast to pick up one of these like fleece-free teams in the offseason or something. To pick up a team that has like a Shohei or a Skeens or a Judge, or especially a team that has like 2 of those guys. Because there's a couple teams out there that are bad, but they have 2 or 3 real blue chip guys.
Right. And you put
it would be very fun to work the market on those guys and
JC, you want to
really
switch
work
teams?
the fleece-free. I think that'd be fun.
Do you want to switch teams?
Yeah, you can take over. You can take over Rutgers, who has.
Yeah, you can have my junior Juan Soto.
I'll tell you. I'll say this. Like last year, I had a junior Hunter Green, and I wasn't competing at all. I held on to him. He's done absolutely nothing right now, but I think back a year ago, a Hunter Green probably could have netted me a whole lot, and I decided to hold on to him. So like, now I'm waiting for him to come back and be the anchor on a top 5 team. So like, there is value in holding on to some of these guys if you're, not that good from year, because with this league, if you still have them for next year, you never know what you can be, and you can always rebuild around certain pieces. So I don't necessarily, to Ash's point, I do kind of like, if you do have a Skeens, yeah, if you're competitive, you're not going to trade them. But to everybody else's point, if you're bad, cash in and get them for what you can get. Like, not maybe this far off into the future, but if you can get some good sophomores and some freshmen that can help you now, because another thing with these prospects that I don't think it's mentioned or talked about enough is like, once they get to the MLB, there's usually an adjustment period, and that adjustment period can be quick, it could be long, but it's usually long. And when you get a Charlie Condon or you get a James Tibbs and those 150 bats end, that clock's going to run, and they might
hope they don't get optioned.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better hope they hit, because once they lose that M next to their name, their value hits significantly if they're not. And,
sometimes it's a Christian Campbell. And if you go look at the transaction log for Christian Campbell,
right,
he was getting traded for the craziest things imaginable, and he is now sitting on the waiver wire.
I was on the record of saying the wrong things about the extension. I was sitting there like, oh man, he was crazy for taking that extension. I look like an idiot about that, right? I'll be the first one to admit it, because in terms of like the idea of signing, because he has not contributed anything, and Ash harps on this a lot.
He was traded 1-to-1 for a freshman Christopher Sanchez,
right? And look at that, and it's like, Ash talks about this a lot, and it's a very valid point, that adjustment period you're talking about, Chris. The idea that, like, in a league like this, like, sure, if it's a keep forever, a deal like this, like, do I want all these prospects for Paul Skeens? Fuck yeah, right? Because, like, I got Thomas White for the rest of his career, Jose DePaula. If they can do what they're supposed to do, oh, baby, that's a win for me. I'll wait it out until those guys can succeed and build around them, right? That's cool. But in a league like this, I mean, you might wait until, like, you might see them get called up late in the year. They lose their freshman eligibility. Now they're sophomores. Then there's an adjustment period. And maybe they don't adjust in the MLB until our playoffs. Right, so like, okay, great, you got them, and they're hitting, but now they're hitting, and we're not even playing fantasy ball anymore.
or until they become juniors or seniors. And
Right, and then it's.
I mean, Jordan Walker.
I think an interesting caveat that doesn't get talked about enough in this league amongst everybody is for these prospects, once their clock starts, we lose ownership of them before they hit arbitration in real life.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
We're getting, unless you've got an Ellie De La Cruz coming up, a top tier guy, a Chase Burns coming up, something like that. I use those because I'm a Reds fan.
Mhm.
You're going to have to sit there and you're going to have to wait out a Matt McClain to develop. You're going to have to wait out a Noelvi Marte to develop. He's going to get Noelvi Marte. Look how many times he's been dropped this year. I would have given up a boatload last year for Noelvi Marte, especially in the second half of last season. But he's lost his prospect. He lost his prospect rankings. He got sent down to the minors, and 4 or 5 teams dropped him. And I think a couple of junior versions of him became freshmen, and I just strategically waited for him as a Reds fan and stashed him. But, he's a guy that last year would have netted probably a really good piece at this time last year. So just, you never know what these guys are going to be, and just kind of when we do get them, I think the prospects probably hurt a little bit in the format of our league because we're not getting them at their best. We're getting them as they're learning.
At the same time, 4 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is. And we're probably going to lose them when they're starting to hit their peak.
No, but see, that's the thing. Yeah, that's exactly it. 4 years is a long time, but how much of that 4 years are you getting? Right? Like, yeah, like let's putting injury aside, because let's say everyone's got a similar injury risk, right? Of all pitchers, right? Like you're getting Skeens for the rest of this year and a senior year and probably a redshirt year, right? So you're looking at 2.5 without injuries. Thomas White, if you're without injuries, you might get 3 years of production. You might get 2 years of production. You might get 4. But likely you're getting 3, right? Because of the way they'll call them up and they'll lose eligibility. So you got to factor that in. Like on paper, if you're getting 4, you're right, brilliant, right? Because like you would move that 4 and take it, but you don't know if you're going to get 4 exactly. I know that this is, as we're winding down the conversation, we got one here from Jim, like something to think about. What will happen to classes next year if there's going to be a work stoppage? I mean, I figured we were just going to pause the contracts, right?
I would think we would just pause everything for a year if there is no baseball.
I don't know it depends on when they start up. I mean, like if the league starts back up in May, I think you just roll how it is. But
right, that's fair.
Right, because that's the most of a season, and we just push it a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'd say if we start creeping into June, I think we got to maybe consider hitting pause on stuff because that's only a month. Like usually that'd be just about 2 or 3 weeks out before we start playoffs. So just
because of how early the conference tournaments start and stuff, it could certainly be. That would be.
Yeah. I know.
It may be a situation where you play
get to halfway through May.
You may have to do 2 opponents. That's true. There is like kind of we could kind of speed it up and do 2 opponents per week. But I agree in the idea that if we get past, like if we get into June, it's basically a no-go. Because I mean, that's the idea of playing even with 2 people a week. Maybe you'd have to do 3 because then you would even get 12 matchups. It's still too short. So you got to hope that like you only miss April at most. And who knows if we missed even more than that of the season, regardless of fantasy baseball. We really won't know.
Be an all or nothing situation. I think it's because it's gotten too far. It's not going to be like it was in what was that 22, 23 whenever they had the stoppage for 2 weeks and then got it figured out. That was kicking the can down to this bigger battle now. They've been kicking this can for 10, 15 years. Honestly, since 1994, they've been kicking this can, and I think it's just come to a head that they're going to have to drastically change the format, and it's going to cost it. It might end up costing the season of baseball. And
if the season doesn't start by the end of April, I think there's a good chance we have no season at all. Like I think it really very much is an all or nothing.
Yeah.
I think they'd be so stupid to ruin the momentum that's been built the last couple of years because baseball is more popular as like a sport, especially in the United States, than it has been in a long time. Over the last couple of years, baseball has absolutely grown pretty substantially in popularity. I think it'd be so dumb if they lose a season. That would be like, I'm not saying it's a death blow, but it would really handicap the MLB substantially. I think from a financial
that's what the league's going to pitch to the players. They're going to say, if we can't meet here, you're going to kill the league because you guys can't meet us.
But that's what they're going to pitch in return.
Correct.
They're going to be like, we're the ones out there growing the sport. If you guys don't fucking pay and be fair, then fuck you. Like, it's going to be ugly. I know it's not going to be ugly.
Absolutely. It's not. It's going to be ugly. And, it's been brewing for years. Harper telling Manfred to get the fuck out of the locker room and started talking salary cap. That's not good, guys. Like, that's that's more than smoke. That is fire, and
100%.
it's not going out. And like I'm totally and mentally prepared to have a very long shutout, and potentially I don't think we're out of the realm of possibility we don't come back until August and do another 60-game season like we did during the pandemic. The precedent's already set.
What? I apologize for my memory not being great. What was the last like pretty long lockout? It was the night like 97, 98, something like that.
It was something in the
94 is the most famous one.
94.
There was like a shutout like in 04, 03, something like that locked out some spring, and then actually back in 22 or 23, one of those.
Yeah, there was a shorter one.
Yeah, we lost the first 2 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, I've talked to older baseball fans who I can't even call them baseball fans, people who kind of stopped watching around that like 94 time, and just because of the strike. So like that could happen again. But I mean, the players, I don't know what the legality is, but like, what if the players just kind of organize basically their own World Baseball Classic? Or as Lucas stated multiple times, let's just start watching Japan baseball. Like that'd be kind of sick.
They can't.
I'll tell you this. In terms of like losing a fan base in a generation, not only is that real, I'm just using myself as a real world example. When the NBA locked out in 98 or 99, whenever it was, I was like 11 or 12 years old. I'm like peak prime time for NBA. And it was not what it is today. Nowhere near it. And because of that, because of my prime years, like I don't watch NBA. I could give a rat's ass about it. I really don't care about it. You know, and I'm one of the few people, but I love baseball because I grew up with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa chasing Roger Maris. I grew up where it was still pretty relevant and it was pretty good. I grew up, you know, during the Yankees runs and dynasties as well. Baseball was, back in my day, baseball was more popular than the NBA, and that's a damn fact. It's just, and if we end up losing that momentum, you know, we're going to lose more ground to all the other Power Four sports. We're going to be sitting there fighting for popularity with hockey and MLS. Not
I don't think you have to worry about MLS. I think you're okay.
I just kind of
no, but I think your point,
a lower tier, like that's where the
Your point is very valid. I mean, I think the biggest fear of we consider talking about the lockup, but the biggest fear is absolutely losing that momentum, as you and JC were kind of touching on, because it is growing. And the only way to kill that right now, I mean, there's been so many factors going into baseball. There's been involvement of a lot of crazy shit. Baseball's still been growing. It's growing in audience. It's doing great for itself. The only way to kill it would be to have a missed season. I agree completely. And there are, Jim was touching on it, Peter mentioned, there are people who do very much like, as you described, Chris, about like the NBA thing. They will just stop watching. They'll be like, all right, whatever, man, I don't care anymore. Like you go a whole year without the sport, you just don't care about it the way you used to. And for a lot of people.
I had a conversation with a guy randomly at Waffle House a couple months ago. And yeah, I was just my wife loves Waffle House. So we were at Waffle House and we're sitting there talking to a guy, and it somehow came up. We were talking about it was during the WBC actually. And he was like, yeah, if they lock out next year, I'm done watching baseball. I think a lot of people share that sentiment to where they would genuinely like a significant lockout like that would push so many fans away. They're just going to go watch other sports and not come back.
Yeah, but also I feel like baseball is
the whole generation of Major League Baseball lost a whole generation of fans to basketball popularity in the late 2010s as it's grown. Like baseball got stale. There was no big superstar to promote or push really after A-Rod retired. Mike Trout doesn't want to be the big superstar, and all this segment, younger kids, fell in love with Steph Curry and Clay and the 3-point shots, and it's easier to watch. It's more fun to watch. Just baseball. There was a solid decade there. Baseball didn't have a marketable star, and it cost them.
I think I will say the thing baseball does have an advantage, and as somebody that enjoys watching multiple sports, is in the summer, it's with the exception of like years where there's the World Cup or the Olympics, there's not a whole lot going on. Yep. So people will be like, I'm not going to watch anything. And then it's July and it's 7:00 and you're bored and nothing's on and you're going to turn on the game. So I think some of that is talk. I think, you will lose fans, but I think the majority is kind of like people are just angry and upset. Personally, as a Mets fan, I wouldn't mind a lost season. It would be kind of nice. But that's just as a Mets fan.
I'd miss it.
As a Reds fan, this is kind of like, I understand why you would want a lost season because you're frustrated. You need
Because
to
every season's a lost season anyway.
But I would say, like, as from the opposite side of that spectrum, as a Reds fan, a fan of a lower market, I'm willing to lose a season if it meant more competitive balance and if it meant forcing the owners to spend more. Because I don't think it's a money problem. It's the owners not wanting to spend. And if they're in a position that they're going to have to spend now, and the Castellinis have to spend a floor and basically be forced to keep players like Ellie De La Cruz and Sal Stewart and Hunter Green long term, as opposed to just using them as assets to deepen pockets for 6 years, then I can get more invested as a Reds fan. I'll be more invested as baseball.
That's a great point.
Economics of baseball kill me right now. I hate being a Reds fan, and it's taken my interest away from baseball quite a bit when the Reds are bad. When the Reds traded Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez to the Mariners a couple of years ago, that was almost like, I'm done. I'm not going to any more games. I'm sick of this. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's the same shit for 30 fucking years. If we get good players coming up, prospects, we've been promised prospects for years. And then they go off and have PowerPoint presentations to their biggest donors before the season and be like, I swear to God, this actually happened. The owner, Castellini, went and had a PowerPoint presentation to a bunch of donors and said, statistically, only 5 to 6 teams are able to win the World Series on opening day every single year. And it's so much bullshit, and had slides proving, well, we suck. Here's why it's not worth investing. Shit like that needs to get stopped, and shit like that needs to get called out by Manfred and the players as well, too. Every single player. Pittsburgh can extend Paul Skeens for 20 years if they want to. They choose not to. That's the issue with baseball today. That's what needs to get fixed. As a fan of a lower market team, I'll give 2 years away to get that shit fixed. That's where I'm at.
You're not going to get a floor without a cap. So, I mean, but here's the thing. If you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, you can spend much more than you are now. You're right about that. They can spend infinitely more than they are.
They can't.
The problem is they don't have as much money as the Dodgers.
No,
they don't have as much money as the Yankees, and they don't have as much money as the Mets. And if the Pirates increase their payroll by $150 million, then those other teams are going to increase theirs by another $200 to $300 million. So then the Pirates are still in the same situation they were already in. So why spend the extra $150 million?
I don't think that's necessarily true. My counterpoint to that is look at the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs have infinitely deep pockets. They willingly choose not to spend because they're on, and I think this is some of the factor in it. They're in a division with 4 teams that don't spend. They're in a division with 4 small market teams that have to depend on development and draft. They don't have to go out and spend, even though they've got the same resources as the Dodgers, as the Yankees, as the Mets. They don't do that. They're one of the most profitable.
No team quite has the same revenue as the Dodgers, though, because of the way their TV deal works. It's really screwy, and they have a substantially larger amount of money coming in from their TV deal than any other team in the league. And then you have the Mets, who have an owner worth I don't know how many $1 billion. There aren't a ton of owners with that type of pockets. There are a couple of teams that absolutely do have more resources than any other team. But there's only a couple of them, and I do agree. I think you make a great point. If you had confidence that Ellie De La Cruz was going to be a Red his entire career, there is going to be more investment from you as a fan in terms of going to games, buying merchandise, spending money and investing in that team 100%. And I think that's something that a Pittsburgh fan would absolutely say about Skeens as well. Is there'd be so many people if Paul Skeens signed a 10-year extension tomorrow. You know how many people are going to go buy season tickets to the Pirates? A hell of a lot of them.
Yeah, especially
a lot of babies
in
born in Pittsburgh 9 months from now.
Especially in Pittsburgh, like they've shown that if they're a competitive team, the fans will show up for them. And this
look
specific
team. Look at the hockey team. It's a team. It's a city that you go out and show out, they'll come for you.
I think the thing that gets lost the most in this conversation is I think a lot of people think you either have to be pro player or pro owner. When you don't, you can be pro fan.
Pro baseball.
And 2, the other thing is a cap system can be implemented and the players still win the negotiation. Because if you have the floor and cap at a certain level, then the players are still not losing out any. And when you factor in total compensation of all players, that total compensation can be greater than what it is today. You can build in an escalator of 5, 10%, whatever that is on an annual basis that the floor and cap go up. You can also, the players can also, they have a lot of leverage to get a cap in, the players do. And the players can require that they reduce years of control. And I've said this for a long time. if I was the players, I would give in to a cap floor system being implemented to get years of control reduced to 4 instead of 6. That's huge.
I would give that.
So there's a lot of things that they can negotiate to come out ahead in the total, like who wins argument.
I feel like me and Ram, as Mets fans specifically, have kind of could potentially have a bit of a unique perspective on this. We're both in our 30s. We've had an owner that did not spend money and got caught up in the Ponzi scheme, and we have an owner that has infinite amount of money. We've seen about the same success both ways. So I do think, at least part of me, and it may be the frustration, is yes, obviously the deep pockets are great and they do take you to another level, but it's not the end all be all. I think teams are using not spending the money as an excuse. Obviously, like you have your Colorado Rockies, you have your Pittsburgh Pirates. I think the Pirates signed their second multi-year player like this season, and the last one was like 5-6 years ago. Like, there's no way you can look at that situation and think Bob Nutting is actually trying to do anything to compete. But then you look at the Mets, where 2022 they had the most expensive team in baseball and they were dog shit. So the money thing is great, and having an owner that has $13 billion is awesome, but that's not enough to win, unfortunately. So I think it's a bit more nuanced than just money.
Oh, it's definitely nuanced. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm openly against the cap and the floor, because I think the idea of people are it'll allow teams to compete when they have less money. No, it's fucking not, because there's going to be a floor that's way less than the cap, and those fucking cheap asses are going to hit the floor, and that's it. You think they're suddenly going to start being good people and be like, oh yeah, we now magically can compete with the Yankees and Mets? No, they're going to give you the same fucking bullshit, because the Mets
will expose those franchises more by having.
They're already exposed, and nobody gives a fuck, Ash.
I'm saying
Everybody
even
knows
more because
no, they don't care.
System,
it won't change them. It won't. People do not give a fuck. That's why I feel this way legitimately.
At least they'll seem to be spending more, though.
No,
they're going to spend it on one. They're going to spend it on
one player or something, and they're going to be like, well, those were our resources. We hit the floor. They're going to sit there and give you the same fucking bullshit. And I almost want it to happen so I can sit there and laugh at people. They're going to be like, oh, why can't we extend our third star? We hit our salary floor. We can't compete with the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers. We just don't have the money to hit the cap.
I'll tell you this, though, coming from a Reds perspective.
Look at the other sports with a cap and a catch system. The teams that are mismanaged are brutally penalized because they can't. If you're tied up in bad contracts, you are infinitely more penalized than you are in the current system.
But that's what I mean. That's the argument against it, where they're going to be like, why would we give this contract? We can't do this. We can't afford to keep our third star. So you're still going to see De La Cruz on the fucking Yankees. You're still going to see the Athletics not keep their guys. And now it's going to be worse because the players are going to be like, well, before we had infinite money contracts and guys like Juan Soto got $1 billion, and now I can't get that anymore. And it's going to build resentment and problems, and nobody's going to be happy. It's just the core the idea here is that people have convinced the world, that the owners have convinced the world. You got guys out there telling you that people are losing money on their baseball teams, and they're not. They're not. I have seen the books myself too. They're not. There's Hollywood magic going on. The Dodgers, for example. JC brings up a great point about their magical TV deal, right? You know what else they do for a record? Their parking goes straight to them, but it's a separate company from the Dodgers. So it looks like on the books maybe they lose a little money, but all the revenue that comes in from the parking goes directly to the team. They're still profitable in one way or another. Some of the teams split up their promotional money and their connections they get from local teams as non-team revenue money. So on the books it might say, oh, we're losing money, but they're not losing money. And then when they sell it, they become amazingly wealthy.
There'd be a lot more owners selling if they were losing money. Let's just put it
right.
There.
That's what I mean. The idea that I will never ever accept the idea. I've seen the books too. They're not losing money. They're just the best accountants in the fucking world. So the idea that we get to sit here and be like, it's because there's no cap that the Reds can't sign their guys, that is fuck all. That is the problem. That we have people like us who actually love the sport.
I know you would never be able to sign Josh Allen to a lifetime deal, basically.
If they wanted to, they could, because of the money they'd get in just promoting him. If I'm
being compete with these other teams that have way more money.
To Rand's point, I agree with him to this extent. I'll use this real world example right now. The Reds made a legitimate attempt to go after Kyle Schwarber. They had him in Cincinnati. They hosted him. They had a big money for him ready to go. I think it came out. It was like, it wasn't quite what the Phillies ended up getting him, but I feel like it was like $25 million less or something like that, maybe a year shorter of what he ended up getting from Philadelphia. Right. But the money came out. So Reds fans are like, well, after he goes up and signs with Philadelphia, Reds fans are thinking, oh, okay, well, hey, this got floated out. This is the resources we have. What can we reallocate that money to help our team now? And then not even a week after that, management comes back and says, well, we just had that money set aside for Schwarber. We don't actually have money to use elsewhere for that.
Right. I agree with that exactly. I had that conversation with fan bases where it's like, you would have given them $30 million,
money
right?
To get Kyle Schwarber. But all of a sudden, if it's going to cost us a little bit more to go trade for I can't even think of a good player. Let's just say Kyle Tucker or somebody like that right now. Somebody go off, make an offer for somebody like that. All of a sudden, the money's gone. It's not there, and you got to settle. You got to settle for half the price for Eugenio Suarez, hoping that he can repeat something that he did when he's already past his prime. Like when he signed, people were talking in Cincinnati like, "Oh man, he might hit 60." I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, guys, he's 35. He doesn't play that well. Like his bat speed slowed down. Did you not see his numbers in Seattle? I hope to God he can get the 30. And now it doesn't even like he might even get the 20. But my point is, it's just like the money disappeared all of a sudden. We had the money to sign Schwarber, then it disappeared. That's the bullshit that I hate. That's the bullshit that they need to fix somehow. And like, I don't know, like the best system that I wish they would do without knowing too much about the NBA system. I wish it was something a little where the NBA is like your home, the team that drafts you, the team that develops you can give you the most money on your first free agent signing, just like they do in
the bird rights.
Correct.
Restricted free agency.
Right.
Yeah,
correct.
It's complex as shit, but it's true. And like right now,
to be complex to get like it requires complexity to kind of get both sides to feel like
I agree because like right now
both sides that helps both sides winning. That like hey Ellie, you're going to go hit the market, but the Reds are going to be able to give you the highest percentage. But if you want to go to play for the Yankees, you're gonna have to make that conscious choice. Hey, I'm willing to go take less money to go play for the Mets, to go play for the Yankees. I would.
Or for the first contract, they can match any other offer, just like an NBA free agency. Yeah. The first NBA free agency contract after a rookie contract, for a first round pick anyway, they have bird rights, so they have the ability to match any contract offered by any other team. Yeah. So if the Yankees offered Ellie 15 years, $500 million, I don't know, it's a random number, but just they offered him a contract like that, the Reds would have 48 hours to match that contract, and then. I mean, that would. I think that's the type.
And
of
if they don't
that
do it, you can't get mad at Major League Baseball in the system. You get pissed off.
And it's specifically
your ownership.
It's on there. It's directly on there.
Exactly.
You can't sit there and blame the system anymore. But that's if we can find something that prevents situations like the Schwarber tease and the money disappearing, like that's what I want ultimately. It doesn't have to be a cap. It doesn't have to be a floor. It's just got to be this. We've got to make owners spend the fucking money because they have it. There is no such thing as a small market team in Major League Baseball. That is a choice.
Yeah, I always.
Well, it's funny that the A's went to Vegas because like Vegas will be the smallest market in Major League Baseball.
John Fisher's not seeing the kingdom of heaven, but I agree.
Well, John Fisher's
Vegas is dying.
He's unique even in his own area.
God help me. But no, to the point of what you guys are making, like, and I say this openly, if they took on like the NBA system, like a cap, the NBA has so much parity where they've had a different champion the last like 9 years too. And it's kind of their new salary cap system is after a lot of tinkering has finally kind of hit what it's supposed to do. Like right now, the Knicks are the champion and they're struggling to kind of keep their squad together because of the fact that they would cross the second apron. Like they can pay their players more if they want to. Right. But it also penalizes them where they can't move their draft picks. They can't make certain trades. They can't do, and they're going to have to trade somebody eventually. So it doesn't allow you to do the idea of like, oh, I have Juan Soto for 15 years. I'm using the Mets as an example, right? Like they can just stack on guys. You can't do that in the NBA. You have to, and the things like you guys mentioned, the bird rights or the ability to match. I like that. Because that for me, like, gives them the idea, like, because to what Ash was saying before, like, hey, it's going to shame the teams. That shames the teams in the NBA. I will give you that, right? Because if you sign with somebody else and then the offer is out there, like, hey, you had 48 hours to match and you didn't, like you physically could have matched. Now they look at you and they're like, this isn't the NBA's fault. This is on you. This is on our fucking ownership. And like, that's where that kind of feeling comes out. So if they go down the road of something like the NBA, where it's like an extremely nuanced cap that like half the league doesn't fucking understand, but it does its job, like that could work here. And they'll also have to give it like 5 years or so to kind of like set it in, obviously, because like teams are going to have to adjust. But it's got to be really complicated to make it work that way, because if it's just as simple as cap and floor, it's going to be the same issues as before. If you don't add in nuances like the bird rights or the right to match, restricted free agency, things like that, it won't work the way that. And the goal should be for parity. So if we're looking for parity, we need to make it layered in that way, where it can work in that way, where it benefits teams to actually keep their players, which is.
And I see where you're coming from. I see your side of that argument, to where like in the red situation, if it was a floor, they would sit there and be like, okay, well, we've extended Ellie, we extended Hunter Green, we've extended Sal Stewart. We don't have enough money to extend Chase Burns.
They're just going to let him go either way. And it's going to be the same situation. And I don't want to see that. I grew up in a one-star era in NBA. I grew up in like the idea of like, I want always hometown players that get developed by a team to stay with the team. I like that, you know, like I watched the Yankees for a while, like buy players, and I fucking hated it. Not only because I was a Mets fan, but I'm like, this isn't fun. Like I talk about the Athletics right now. Like I want Nick Kurtz to be an Athletic for the rest of his life. And I can't stand John Fisher, but I want Nick Kurtz to stay there and like be an Athletic and dominate and be a guy, right? Like I want Ellie to stay in Cincinnati forever and go into the Hall of Fame as a Red. Like I want to see these guys be where they are, be appreciated by their fan bases. Like we joke about, like, you know, the Mets have their guys. I still
don't become mercenaries. Like don't become hired guns. Like Aroldis Chapman could have a statue built of him in Cincinnati if he had his whole career here. But
yes,
you know, he's been a mercenary for a lot of winning teams for the last few years.
Well, Aroldis is just a weird dude. I mean, like when you start. I'm not even going to bring it up.
But the point being about, like, take a look. You got guys like Hoffman. I mean, Hoffman, of course, like statistically has so many like saves, right? But he's known for like being there forever, like with the Padres and things like that. Like Chapman is effectively a guy with better stuff. You know, he could have had this career for the Reds if he stayed with the Reds forever, type of thing. He's bounced around to how many different teams? I mean, Yankees.
So when he ultimately goes to the Hall of Fame, he's probably going in as a Yankee, right?
Is he? Legitimate question. Is he?
That means honestly,
he should be a Ranger. He helped us win a World Series.
We'll get the Cubs win the World Series.
I know we're wrapping up soon. So I'm gonna pull up Aroldis Chapman. I'll pull up Aroldis as a stat
while you're doing that, I just want to make mention that the NHL did lose an entire season in 2005. It's somewhere around there. They did, in order to get a cap put in, they missed an entire season, and that league's doing fine now. You know, here we are 20 years later. And I don't think they gave teams any kind of grace. I think you had to immediately before that next season comply with the cap. That was interesting.
I think you had 2 players that you were allowed to.
I wasn't a hockey fan back then, so I
believe it was 2 players that didn't count towards your salary cap.
And without a cap, I don't think Edmonton would have 2 of the best top 5 players in the league.
You know, so. you guys mentioned like, you know, like the Reds will sign this superstar, and then they're okay. That's not even the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario, and I can 100% see the Marlins doing this, even though they are getting better.
Yeah,
is they will sign. They will have 9 players at the absolute minimum and sign 1 guy to a stupid dumb contract to hit that minimum, and that's it.
Yeah, they'll get.
Well, it would take more than 1 guy to get to whatever the minimum, the floor is. But
usually, you haven't seen the stupidity of the Marlins yet. Again,
usually, what happens with the cap floor system is the teams that are going into rebuild start taking the bad contracts off the good teams' hands.
I'm missing a year off the top or something there, by the way. But like, what a fucking interesting career. I mean, he had more WAR with Cincinnati. This is B WAR. He had more WAR with Cincinnati. He had the 7 years with the Yankees. He's got the year with the Rangers, the Royals. I don't even remember like some of these years.
We traded Cole Reagans for him. I think that's what the deal was, if I remember correctly.
I feel like that's correct.
Is this reference? Is this baseball reference?
Yes, yeah. Baseball reference. Why?
Okay. I was like, I usually look at Fangraphs, so like I'm looking at the columns going, this isn't, where's WAR? Like, and then
I can get you I'll get you Fangraphs. Hang on, I'll get you Fangraphs. Don't worry. I just wanted to kind of
And
And it's
display
the
like
player's choice. It's
He
a
worked
player's
for it.
choice, right?
No.
It's not the player's choice who they get to wear for Hall of Fame.
I thought
no,
it
no,
was-
the-
I thought it was
Wade
the
Boggs-
players' choice.
No,
That's the Wade Boggs rule.
Wade Boggs took that away from
They
everybody.
changed that because of Wade
because
Boggs.
he won in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Because Tampa Bay paid him $1 million to pick
that
him.
was such a funny story. That doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
Oh goodness.
I do wish
Yeah,
they would
Wade.
get rid of no team caps. I
My
bet
gut-
Chapman would be
I
a no
like
team
that.
guy.
I like that, just a plain baseball cap, but my gut tells me he'd be a Yankee.
Like Greg Maddux should be an Atlanta Brave. I'm sorry. Like that actually still
Is he
makes
not?
sense.
Yeah.
No,
Is he
he's a
a
blank cap. He's a blank
Uh,
cap. He has no team.
I can see Chapman being a blank cap.
That's
don't
such
think
a wild
Chapman's a
one
Hall
to
of
me.
Famer.
'Cause
I think he's.
I can't
don't
stand
think
Greg
he's a-
Maddux,
I-
and he should be a Brave.
Wait, he's not a Brave? That's crazy.
There, this is
forgot
just
he's with Pittsburgh.
this is for the technically enhanced people who like the Fangraphs view.
Wait, you cut
this
off
is-
total. What's his total career?
I'm folding it up. I'm trying to get into one freaking image. 26.5 career.
Yeah, I don't think he's a
Yeah,
Hall of
not
Famer.
making
Hey.
the Hall of Fame.
He's first ballot Hall of Very good though.
Yeah.
What's he?
Yeah.
Where's he at on the all-time saves list?
Right now,
No
I mean,
seasons over 40 saves.
he has 381 saves, so he's gonna hit like 400 saves probably.
Look
Which
at those Ks for 9, though, fellas. 16
I don't
sure
like
not.
ratios
years.
being used.
K's per 9 doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame though.
so he is currently 10th in history in
He's
saves
going Hall
with
of Fame. He's
381.
going Hall of Fame.
If he gets to 400, he would be only the 9th guy to do it. Billy Wagner has 422. He is 8th right now. So
He's 12 WAR away from the Baines line though, so I don't know.
this
about
is a tough. I'll bring up that war image, the F4 one, but like yeah, it's that's a tough one for career stuff because it's 26.5 F4.
I will say I'm impressed with what he's done the last 2 years because I thought he was
I think he
lost
goes.
in 22.
I think he goes because of longevity, and there was a significant extent that he was the top player at his position.
At
I
what
mean,
year? No, there was
and-
not a
and
single
he
year that he
won-
was the
and
number
he
one closer in the
won-
game.
And
One,
he
two,
There was
won
no years
a
that he was
Four,
the
World
number one
five,
Series.
six, 7, 8. 8 All-Star appearances.
I don't know
and
if
two-
that's true, Ash. I think there was a couple years there where this man was throwing 101 miles an hour and everyone was terrified of him.
And not a
Mhm.
single year was he considered the best closer in the game.
I don't think
I'm not sure I
One
can
of
agree
these
with
years,
that.
Mariano
I
still
think
was
towards
active.
the end. I think towards the end of his Reds tenure, he was the best closer in the game.
I mean, he
Yeah.
did win the Mariano
2015,
Rivera.
Mariano was still playing.
He won the Reliever of the Year award twice. The
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera award. He did win it twice.
Yeah.
I think you've got to look at closers differently. And I think this guy with his smoke, for the longest time he had the fastest pitch. I think somebody's since broke it.
I don't care about single fastest pitch. That doesn't get you to the Hall of Fame.
No.
That's part of the story.
Okay, but we're not talking about the Hall of Fame
The Hall-
specifically. We're talking about the best closer for a season. Absolutely, he was.
I'm not
He
sure.
literally won the award twice.
Maybe.
No, not maybe. He won the award twice.
Yeah, but Derek Jeter also won Gold Gloves.
Damn,
This is-
he got me there.
That's hilarious. I love that. I'm looking at the 2012 because I'm looking at the years that he had really good year. 2012. If any other relievers ended up on the Cy Young side,
That's actually a pretty good argument from Andrew, so I will concede that.
Oh, but he's not the best. Just third all time.
what was
To me, it's not
third
even
all
compiler.
time, fourth.
He's a
To me, I
compiler.
feel like it's a silly question. To me, he's an absolutely no doubt Hall of Famer. He's on the first ballot, but 10 years on the ballot, he's getting in.
I mean, I don't know if you can consider a reliever a no doubt, but he probably should get in.
If
Except
you,
for,
put
like,
him,
Mono
if, you
Rivera.
had, if you had to make me
16
pick one
years
guy
of
on
high
the front,
quality
I'm picking
production,
Billy
17
Wagner over
years.
him every day of the week.
Whoa,
Isn't Billy Wagner in the Hall of Fame? Or
Yeah.
no,
yeah, he's a.
Yeah, I was
So,
gonna say,
like,
isn't
But he
in the
got
Hall of Fame?
Billy Wagner got in on his last year of eligibility. So
I can see Chapman
he sat
being
there. a
I
long
would say
time.
10 years on the ballot, he's getting in.
Yeah,
Who's
but like,
interesting? I mean, career.
there's only 9 relievers in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's
Lee Smith,
Mariano,
Dennis
Trevor
Eckersley.
Hoffman, Lee Smith, Dennis Eckersley, Billy Wagner, Goose Gossage, Raleigh Fingers, Bruce Sutter, and Hoyt Wilhelm.
I feel like some of those got in through Veterans Committee because
the only one who I think is not, let's see, saves leaders. I mean, you got Mariano Hoffman. Kenley Jansen is obviously not in yet because he's still pitching, but he has 485 saves. Craig Kimbrell, also active, has 440. He's not in. Francisco Rodriguez.
I think he's ruined his chances the last few years.
That's what's
I think he's
interesting.
one of
Like,
Oh, Kenley?
No, Kimbrell.
Oh, Kimbrell. No, I don't.
If you'd asked me 6 years ago, I would have thought Kimbrell would be a Hall of Famer. But man, he's just really fallen off.
That guy sucks.
Aroldis and Kenley are the two with the best chance, I would say, for sure.
Some of these saves numbers, though, I got to be honest, I'm going to pull some up for you guys here. These are not necessarily names that I would think in terms of the most saves in history. Like, the 11th most saves in history is Joe Nathan.
Well, to be fair, Joe Nathan was phenomenal.
But that's
was really good.
And for a while.
That's what I'm like. I guess I don't remember it necessarily the way that, because some of these names, I'm like,
oh, John Franco.
To be fair, I am a little biased again.
Remember how good
Joe Nathan was? Well, Joe Nathan was a Ranger for a couple of years, so
nobody called him F-Rod. It was K-Rod.
Yeah,
sorry,
F-Rod is crazy.
Sorry, my bad, K-Rod. My memory is failing.
We had an F Mart, but that's a dumb Mets story. I don't know if you remember that or you know that, Chris, but we had a Fernando Martinez prospect that supposedly the Mets were so high on that they wouldn't trade him for Manny Ramirez or anybody at the time. And Fernando Martinez, of course, turned out to be a big fucking zero. And we never got anything out of him. But we had F Mart, and there was this whole thing about like the Mets' big prospect in F Mart. It was like after the Generation K stuff, so they were like doing it again, like, oh, this is going to be the guy, and nothing, absolutely nothing. But to pivot off that because it hurts my feelings, there are some fun names on this. I remember Houston Street, however the fuck you, but Street was good for a while. Yeah, I liked him.
Todd Jones surprises me that he's that high.
That's what I mean. Like, I was looking at this list, right? This is the top 25 in history, and I love
Papelbon.
If Rob Nin could have stayed healthy longer, he would have been a Hall of Famer. That dude was lights out.
Only 10 seasons, yeah, that works against him. John Franco is just a matter of the fact he played 21 fucking seasons. He has so many innings on here. One of the interesting arguments here, I mean, Chapman, it's 381. He'll be one of only 9 people to hit 400 saves if he does it, and he's 19 away.
The way he's going, he could get to 6th or 7th on this list, I would think, for sure.
Yeah, like if he can stay healthy another 2 years or something like that, which is crazy because I don't know what his health regimen, and we already know he's weird. It's working. So
he's never had Tommy John.
No, that's what I don't.
Which is hard to believe.
I have no idea how that's a thing, by the way.
He's just an athletic freak. He's just a
who are we talking about?
Chapman.
I don't know. He got like those rubbery arms, man. Like
he has shot a gun in a garage, but he's not had Tommy John.
He's done a couple other things as well that we probably should talk
quite
about.
A few things that are of interest.
The Reds traded him for nickels on the dollar because they had a trade lined up with the Dodgers that was announced. And then it came out the next day he got arrested for domestic abuse charges because he shot a gun in his garage after having a fight with his girlfriend. And the Dodgers pulled out. And then during spring training, the Yankees got him for pennies on the Rookie Davis. Any Yankee fans out there? Just, ugh. That's a good point too. It's just maybe I don't want the Reds to be forced to spend money because then that's how you end up ending Nate Lowe for 3 years, $60 million for or Jay Day for 5 years. Fuck. I mean, we've had Will Myers. We gave Will Myers $8 million to set around.
Negative 1.1 WAR, by the way. Fuck me to think about old Mets.
You are better than F-Mart. Yes, you.
I have a better career WAR than F Mart, which is crazy, and arguably a better baseball card too, which has been passed around the BDS channel because Peter likes to laugh at it. But
what are your thoughts on? My apologies, Ray. I was going to ask Chris what his thoughts are on Homer Bailey.
Gosh.
That might be the worst contract of all time for the Reds.
We gave him a lot of money for 2 no-hitters.
And then he was absolutely generationally terrible promptly after that.
Shit.
Didn't Harang get a decent deal there too?
The orangutan. I liked that guy.
He did towards the end, but it wasn't like as franchise crippling as Homer Bailey's. Like they had a choice: extend Homer for $100 million or extend Johnny Cueto for $100 million. They chose Homer, and then they ended up trading Cueto for Cody Reed, John Lamb, Brandon Finnegan, and he goes on and wins a World Series for the Royals. But Homer Bailey, hey, he threw 2 no-hitters.
And then he had a 6 ERA.
There was a dual bobblehead of Homer Bailey with both his no-hitters. And whenever he signed that money, somebody like photoshopped bags of money on that. And every time he had a bad outing or his elbow blew out, that photo floated around Red's Twitter.
It wasn't all bad. You as a Reds fan, I think I've talked about this before. You've gotten to see 2 players through my lifetime that I think are some of my favorite of all time. Like Joey Votto, of course. I feel like universally he's like one of the most appreciated.
We wasted him. It's tragic how much we wasted that talent.
And he was really like a one of a kind talent. And I just thought he was always cool. I'll always talk about it. Brandon Phillips was my fucking guy. I was always a Brandon Phillips guy. Like I remember getting into fantasy. That was my like fucking. That was my guy for like fantasy ball at second base. He was killing it. He was fun. He was flashy. Like so, I was always a big like Brandon Phillips guy. Always. He good, man.
He went to the Reds Hall of Fame this year. They inducted him in April, and he was back in. And when he went there, he still looks like he could play ball, but he was just kind of he ended his career as a Brave. And, he kind of floated around towards the end of his career. But
he played 9 games for the Red Sox after that.
Okay, so it was Boston. Okay, but anyway, he didn't end his career there. When he came back the day before, he started making a joke and telling people, he's like, "Yeah, I talked to Mr. Castellini, and I'm going to sign a 1-day contract. We talked to Major League Baseball. We got it approved. I'm taking the first at bat tomorrow. I'm batting leadoff on my Hall of Fame day, and I'm going to end my career as a Red the right way." And then he's like, "Are you serious?" And then he's like, "I'm just joking. I'm just playing with you guys. But like, that's how like sentimental and how much he felt in Cincinnati. Like he was that important in Cincinnati. Like a lot of people kind of believed him. Like, okay, that's the right way. But like, that's kind of how he was in Cincinnati. Little known fact about Brandon Phillips. Y'all know who his wife is?
Jade Cargill. Both me and Peter
are not technically married.
But
I think we brought this up on a previous.
I also think it's cool.
Common law marriage is the thing.
She was in Cincinnati for his Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah, I love that. As a wrestling fan, it's like even cooler for me. Where I'm like, man, I grew up liking you, and you married to Jay Cargill. Like, you're just the guy, Brandon Phillips. Like, I got nothing but good things to say. Like, I don't know. I have a lot of random autos of guys like over the years that I'm like, oh, I liked you. Like we met, Ash mentioned Dontrell Willis earlier. I always thought he was a great competitor. I've got a good like D-Train auto. I do have a Brandon Phillips auto from back in the day because I'm like, this is guys that got me into fantasy ball. I got to respect the hustle. So I always like those type of guys.
JC, I'll flip it around to you and flip it. What's your take on Josh Hamilton?
Oh, we didn't pay him all that money. I think he's one of the most talented players of all time, though. We didn't pay him all that money. The Angels paid him. But I will say 2010, 2011, 2012, that's one of the most talented players I have ever seen in my life.
Could you imagine that hitting in front of
a Hall of Famer if he didn't
or behind Joey Votto during that stretch? Because that's what happened. That's what we gave up Edinson Volquez for.
Yeah, I know.
Hated that deal.
He was my favorite player as a kid. Josh Hamilton was my favorite player as a kid growing up watching the Rangers. And it was a shame that he kind of seems to have slipped back into some of those bad habits post-playing career. Yes. Although it sounds, I was looking into it a few months ago, it sounds like he's gotten back on track again, hopefully. It's amazing his career wound up being as good as it was at points, despite the amount of cocaine he was doing and the amount of things he was doing that he absolutely should not have been doing.
That's one of the reasons that the Reds wanted to trade him, because I think he was like 26 at the time, maybe 25 at the time, and they did like a body analysis on him and the wear and tear from the drug use on his body, put him like 10 years older. Like he had like a body of a 35-year-old. So they wanted to go ahead and cash in on him and get,
he was
good. Don't get me wrong, he was great, but those 3 years you mentioned that he had immediately leaving the Reds, it's just like had people.
He truly could have been Mike Trout before Mike Trout, though. Like that's the type of player he was.
He also has the best home run derby performance of all time. I
mean,
like, granted,
2008, 100%.
Yeah, like I love Vlad's like 40 billion home run performance from a couple years ago. I love that too. But like Josh Hamilton, Yankee Stadium retiring, man, and he's hitting bombs onto the fucking subway like in New York. I'm sitting there like I remember just sitting there younger watching. I'm staying like, oh my God, is he going to stop him? Like, this is insane because these aren't like wall grazers. He is hitting bombs, 500 footers, like absolute fucking shots into the night. And I'm like, this is superhuman shit, man. I have watched that. I'm going to go back and watch it after the show just because I haven't watched it in a couple months. Like, it's just so much
baseball
fun.
Being dumb. Like, how dumb is baseball changing the format? Like, I don't want to hear about players being tired. Like, come on. The home run derby was awesome.
Josh Hamilton might have been the closest in MLB history to hitting 5 homers in a game. His 4-homer game, he hit a double that was about 5 feet from being a homer.
Well, no, I'm going to debate you on that. So. Nick Kurtz has a
That's true.
Kurtz
last year was
double off the wall, and it was like 3 inches off a 5th home run.
You're right.
Yeah, so like Kurtz almost had that 5 home run.
That game. I was
12
during that Josh Hamilton game. And
I know what game you're talking about.
That was amazing.
Again, bombs. You know, like you got to respect it. You got to respect the hustles. I really wish. I think there's a lot of people, Rangers fans specifically, but there's a lot of people who love baseball in that time. You ask about like in basketball, sometimes you hear like, "Hey, what could have been Derrick Rose?" Those type of situations. Like Josh Hamilton, I think is one of those big like, oh, if you could redo it and you could keep him healthy and clean, like I would have loved to see the career that would have happened because in the glimpse of the firework that we saw, like he was unstoppable. I think it might have been like 2009 or something that year that he had like fucking 92 RBI at the All-Star break where he was just absolutely like unstoppable. He's getting walked with the bases loaded and stuff like that. Like it's just what a guy, you know. Like,
2010 Josh Hamilton had almost 9 WAR, hit 360, OPS 1050, in 133 games. By the way, he had 32 homers, 100 RBIs, and 9 WAR in 133 games. He was, and that's after doing unbelievable amounts of drugs that definitely wrecked his body.
Oh, yeah, as a Mets fan,
Edinson Volquez led the NL and ERA through June, his first year as a Red, so that's cool.
My biggest what if for the Reds was what if Ken Griffey Jr. had stayed healthy in Cincinnati in Great American Ballpark? Like, that's my biggest what if. That could have changed the whole course of the franchise.
I think I really put what if we didn't trade Josh Hamilton right up there. What if Ken Griffey Jr. didn't get hurt is my biggest what ifs, and I think that's a more tangible what if because I think Hamilton does what he did in Texas and Cincinnati and probably plus some. And that ballpark is made for left-handed hitters. That ballpark was made for him, and just it's one of those things that that. The Buster Posey Grand Slam in 2012, those are a couple things I think about late at night when I think, why am I a Reds fan? But
him and Adam Dunn in the lineup together.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Dunn is such a fun phenomenon to me. Is like just watching from the outside. Like, here's this guy that hates baseball but will hit you 40 home runs every year, and
but that's the kind of hates baseball I like. Like, it's better. That's better than Anthony Rendon. But imagine how good Adam Dunn. But imagine how good Adam Dunn would be in today's game, like with the 3 true outcomes. Like he would be arguably one of the best players.
Imagine if
Adam Dunn's career was 10 years later, people would talk about him like a Hall of Famer. If Kyle Schwarber's getting conversation as Hall of Fame consideration, Adam Dunn absolutely.
Yeah, he was better than Schwarber
for sure.
That is a brilliant point and a brilliant comparison. Literally, the people were like, Kyle Schwarber might make the Hall of Fame, and I'm like, Adam Dunn didn't get shit for that. They play about the same defense, which is net negative. Right, and it was Adam Dunn was doing it for a while, man, and he kept the batting average up better for a bit, if I remember correctly.
Adam Dunn was forced to play in the field. If the Reds had the DH,
he could
have
just focused on hitting
too. Mm-hmm.
Griffey could have DH.
Here's a tragic baseball story about Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn played, I think, like 18 years or so, something like that, north of 15, I think. Never played in one playoff game. Never was with a team that was really good enough. He played with the Nationals for a long time after the Reds. Final year of his career, he gets traded to Oakland in a playoff run. They play in the one-game playoff. He sets on deck as on the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, sets on deck to be the pinch hitter. Guy in front of him gets out. He doesn't make a plate appearance, so he never appeared in the playoff game ever. Just kind of a tragic story.
You only made 2 All-Star teams. That surprises me.
It was a different era. I mean,
it's true. It was
still valued batting average. On base wasn't the thing. I think like him and Joe Morgan are the only 2 Reds ever to have like 3 straight years of 40 home runs and 100 RBIs. And he also drew walks, a whole bunch of walks too. So just like, I've always said Adam Dunn walks so Kyle Schwarber can run. Like, he really did.
The playoff story too. I'll tell you a Mets anecdote that I think about sometimes because of that. Carlos Delgado was one of my favorite hitters when I was younger because he was the prototypical first baseman who hit like a whole bunch of fucking home runs, and I loved him. I loved him being the only time he played in the playoffs was the Mets 2006 run. And it was those couple games, and that's it. And this is a guy who hit almost 500 home runs, was legitimately like a stud slugging first baseman for a long time. After I've got an old Delgado when he was a catcher card with Toronto, right? And he retired at 37, almost 500 home runs. He played 10 playoff games. It was that 2006 run for the Mets that could have went differently. But that's it. That was the only. I remember sitting there in 2006, and they're like, "Yeah, and Carlos Delgado is going to take his first playoff at bat," and I'm like, "That's so wild to me." This guy was really good. But I mean, he was with Toronto the whole time, so he never had the chance to do so because they were not successful at that time of the. But this is a guy who was hitting 40 home runs year in and year out, and I think in 2000 he was a 7 or 8 WAR player as a first baseman, which was crazy. That's how good his bat was. But yeah, some of these guys never got to touch the playoffs as good as they were because it's just circumstance. And it's almost weird to think about because I'm I always want to see sometimes if these guys are playoff risers, what they could be in those types of situations. Delgado was useful for us. I have to look up the stats, but if I remember correctly, in those playoff games with the Mets in 06, he was a useful hitter too. I'm gonna check because I'm now curious, but if I remember correctly, he had an OPS well over 1,000 in that run, and I was sitting there hearing oh, this is your first playoff run. God, you could have done so much damage, man.
It's going to be sad in a couple years when we're having these same conversations about Mike Trout.
Oh, we already are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So 2006,
Mike
10
Trout
games,
and are one and the same.
43 plate appearances. He had 4 home runs. He batted .351. His slash was .351, .442, .757. OPS of 1199 in 10 games for the Mets in the playoffs. I remember him being a monster, and I was like, man,
not bad.
love Delgado. That was and he's just generally was a good guy. So I always liked Carlos Delgado.
I'm saying that was probably the season that he was one of the most feared sluggers in the league. I think there was a point in time he had put a few years together that he was legitimately feared in the batter's box.
The problem with the Mets back then is they were fun around that time, and it kind of sucked me in. And now 20 years later, I want to die. But that 2000, but just for general baseball fans, right? That 2006 team had Jose Reyes and David Wright, had Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado, right? I mean, those guys.
Always fun.
Yeah, Paul LaDuca was on there. Cliff Floyd was on there. Yeah, these were some good, and of course, I think Glavine was in the rotation. Human Rain Delay, Steve Traxel, Billy Wagner was the closer. I reminisce a lot about that because I remember sitting there there was so much fun and potential there. Because Carlos Beltran had remembered how to play baseball again after his first bad year. Delgado and him were mashing. Wright was mashing. It was that lineup 1 to 4, 1 to 5 because LaDuca would bat second. It would be Reyes, LaDuca, Beltran, Delgado, and Wright, and I'd be sitting there this is.
I mean, if only Bill Pulsifer had become the Hall of Famer, they thought he would.
He would have never made it to that 2016.
Ram, if we're going to talk about random one-year Mets playoff stat lines, you got to talk about Daniel Murphy in 2015. And he played 14 games, 328, 391, and 1.053.
He parlayed that into a pretty big contract, didn't he?
And then he parlayed that contract into murdering the Mets every time he saw them for the next few years. And now he works for the Mets. Yes, with the Nationals.
Yeah.
And he destroyed us, won a World Series ring with them, and then destroyed
Wasn't he a
us.
no batting gloves guy?
No, he wore batting gloves.
You know who was a no batting gloves guy who played for the Mets and pissed on his hands? Moises Alou. I remember hearing that when I was younger, and that made no fucking sense to me.
Whoa.
How the fuck they would mention that? They're like, yeah, Moises Alou doesn't wear batting gloves. Well,
What about Juan Manuel Marquez drinking his own urine in training camp to fight Pacquiao?
That shouldn't be allowed either. That's actually fucking horrible. What's worse, drinking your own urine or pissing on your hands regularly because it gives you better bat control?
Drinking your own piss.
I think drinking your own urine is the worst, no matter what.
I think that's a good note to end the show on,
Yeah,
right?
These are some of the options you could have in your night with Ash.
Wow.
All right, let's wrap it up. We've been on.
I will say this. I think I don't know if this was mentioned or not, but I'm just going to put this up. Vatek has put Paul Skeens on the block for 24 hours for our best offers.
He did mention it on the Discord, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it was a real smooth move to do it at fucking 10:30 when most of the league is asleep. So I'm gonna post something in the morning at 8 a.m. Be like, rise and shine, bitches. Paul Skeens is on the block for like another 12 hours. Get your offers in. As bad as they are, he wants them. He wants them all.
So I will say, I mean, if this is legit, calls our bluff. So
no, he put it on the Discord. He did post in the trade block that he's putting Paul Skeens up. So,
I already sent an offer. So
there we go. Let's see what happens. I want to see the result of this. We'll see.
That's why you went black for about 15, 20 minutes and faded away. He went.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He left the call to go make an offer. Ash did the same thing, Chris. I don't know if you saw it. Ash stepped away for a second and do the same shit. These guys are trying to conspire against you, man. You got to keep an eye on it.
I'm an equal opportunity guy, okay? So, Paul Skeens on the block. Everybody go run for it now.
There you go. Good man.
I'm going to put in my offer when I get off here.
There you go.
My offer too. My team sucks ass.
Is that like the final takes on that? Go make a fucking offer for Paul Skeens. That's it.
Just everybody go flood Vatek with offers. If you don't like your first offer, send them a second offer.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jim says I'll send all 30 of my minor leaguers, by the way. So if you like minor leaguers, there's 30 of them coming your way, and at least 5 of them are good. So who knows? That'll make up for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
right.
Next week preview, we'll talk about the winner of this trade.
I mean, look, if the trade happens,
I don't think there will be a trade. That's my guess.
I don't think so.
I don't think there'll be a
Absolutely
trade
not.
either, but I would love to see I'd love to see the discussion, and we'll see what happens. Because if there is a trade, then next week the first half of the show is just going to be the trade, and we're just going to talk about how the fact that I fucking bullied a guy into putting Skeens on the block, and then he got traded. I'm like, yeah, this is what happened.
CBL, we played for keeps.
I gotta stop pissing people off. All right, I'm gonna go get myself settled. I'm gonna go
Guys,
Pete's concentrate in vodka or something like that, as Ash recommends.
Wow, that sounds good. Actually, sounds
it
good.
Does. Pete's concentrate is awesome. Slash says, "Come on next week with all my offers." I love that. That's brilliant. I'm going to make sure in the morning people actually send offers, because I do think there will be some contenders who send offers. I hope they watch the show and they don't start with that bullshit.
Yeah, I'm sending a legitimate one. I mean, we'll see if it doesn't get accepted. It's going to be one of these that if it doesn't get accepted, it's not going to break my heart.
And hang out in the studio after we get off air, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button, and we will catch you next week on a regularly scheduled day on Tuesday.